big one.
And a warm welcome to all of our viewers. This is a very exciting final, and it is the UGB Masters, brought to you by Pro Snooker and our sponsors UGB Masters and United King, My Brands. You can see all of their logos here, but all our action will be taking place on the table. We have Fakhri Gerdin against Charles Jonk. Joining me in the commentary as well is Alison Sibanda.
Thank you, Werner. It's been a lovely weekend, and it has come to this now. It has come to these two gentlemen, a repeat of the Gold Reef City Pro Snooker Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we can see there, 1 point has been scored by either player. However, Charles is now still on the table. He has potted the black, so he is now focusing on continue to build the break. Landed nicely on the red there.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go back to their match in Gold Reef City. I think Charles is going to be eager not to have a repeat of what happened at Gold Reef City, because he basically played second fiddle to Fakhri the whole match. I've never seen him sweating that much, you know. So I'm sure he'll be keen to get it quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of frustration coming through from Charles' side in that final. But at the end, I mean, boy, what a final that was. And played a beautiful serve shot to pot the ball, and then played a long black, and that was for the win. And it was absolutely exhilarating and exactly what TV is meant for.
Yeah, no, that's what those are the moments that we live for. You know, when we run such things, we live for such moments. When we're fans, we live for that. That's what we want to see, you know?
Yeah, very true. You can see there, Fakhri attempting for the red in the corner pocket. Did not go according to plan. So, Alison, I think it is our duty here in the commentary box, as some of the viewers might be tuning in. They're looking at this table and they're thinking, what on earth is happening here? So I think if we can maybe just summarize to exactly what is happening here. You can see there's a big cluster of reds. There'll be a total of 15 of them. If you watch the start of the frame, they are racked in a pyramid shape, a triangle basically, and those are allocated points. You'll then see other colored balls, starting with right at the top of your screen there's a yellow, then to the right of that there's the brown, to the right of the brown there's the green, then moving further down to the table, right in the middle you'll see a blue, nicely covered by the camera angle there, and then there's the pink and the black, and all of them are allocated different points individually. So starting off with the yellow, that is allocated a total of 2 points. There we go. And right next to that is the brown, but skipping the brown, because we'll get to the brown now, is the green. That's allocated a total of 3 points. Brown 4, further down the blues 5 points, the pink 6, and the all-important black, in my opinion the second most important ball on the table apart from the cue ball, that's number 1, is the black. That's 7 points. So the object of the game then basically is you need to pot a red, and then you need to pot a different color until the reds are done, and then you need to pot in a specific order: yellow, green, brown, blue, pink, black. Did I cover everything?
I think you covered everything. I feel like even if I couldn't play snooker, I would just walk onto a table right now and start playing. Well done for that explanation. Very, very informative.
And also now the benefit of watching professionals play is sometimes they make it look easy.
I mean, they do. They do. Most importantly, let's talk about the size of this table. people that are watching that have never seen it would underestimate the size of this table, the way it's humongous, the way it's big. I won't lie to you. I didn't grow up knowing the actual snooker. Everyone just thought that the normal small table is called snooker. Even if you go in townships right now and you say, I want to play snooker, they'll be like, okay, you can play snooker there and there and there and there. But the actual snooker table is being called, it's a black ball table, like or 8-ball table. So this, I was in awe when I saw the actual snooker table. So I would really like people to one day, if they haven't seen a real snooker table, to go to a snooker center and have a look. So to put it into good perspective, you need 4 tables of the normal size tables, put next to each other to match the size of the snooker table.
Yeah, absolutely it is. It's almost intimidating when you see it for the first time. You think, is this a bus or is this something that we're going to play a cue sport on? And interestingly enough, snooker is probably one of the oldest forms of cue sport.
Yeah, it is definitely an old form of cue sport, and well, it obviously went a bit quiet over a period of time, which is the reason why Pro Snooker and Pro Snooker being an affiliate or an arm of SABSA is obviously trying to promote the sport again, to grow it, to greater levels, to get our players getting international recognition and to go to places.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched base and you said you'd encourage anyone to go and have a look and see if they can find one of these tables and see how incredible they are. But then what happens after that? Now, this is where it gets exciting, and this is where Pro Snooker has done so well. Had a chat with Mr. Cuban Moodley, the CEO of Pro Snooker, and he basically informed me the background behind this whole concept. As you mentioned there, mini qualifiers, main qualifiers, main events. Now this is where it's fun. If you have access to any snooker table, a full-size snooker table, we can arrange to have a mini qualifier hosted from your venue.
That's wonderful. That gives everyone an equal opportunity to be a part of this life-changing. This is life-changing. I listened to a bit yesterday when you were speaking to Mr. Naika, Dan Naika. He spoke passionately about snooker. He said snooker changed him. He said snooker gave him discipline. I'm forgetting the word that he used to say that he was a rough character. He was a crude character. But you walk into a snooker center or next to a snooker room, you are intimidated. There is no noise. There's just discipline. Hand-eye coordination. A lot can happen with the snooker table. So back to what you were talking about in terms of qualifiers. No one is in the way of anyone from participating in these events.
Absolutely. We're going to carry on with that now. Charles is busy with a quite impressive break here. Started off very well, played a beautiful long red at quite some distance, and that is incredibly tough, and I'm going to exclaim that again. It is incredibly tough on these tables to make a long shot like that. Charles, once again, as I said, great players make it look easy. Charles made that look easy, got nice position on the black, and he's now carrying on to build this break. So now there's a new word that we brought in now, building a break. Maybe if you can elaborate on that a little bit as well.
Building a break is obviously, as you play, you want to get more points. That's the objective of the game, to get more and more points. So as you are playing, you want to make sure that the cue ball, which is that white ball that people can see there, you keep on placing it where you're going to be able to pot the next ball that you need to, be it a red ball or a non-red. So you keep on building like that. This is what we say what we mean by building a break. You obviously want to keep on going. So yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically all about keeping your opponent in his seat. You're potting a red, different color, as we explained. Until the reds are done, then you're potting the colored balls in order, and that is basically how you can score a higher score, because you cannot play, for example, the pink as it is there for 6 points just by playing the pink. You need to pot a red, then only you can pot the pink.
You were
back
correct.
to red, back to pink or black, and that's the only way that you can actually build on your score.
Absolutely true. Couldn't have said it better. So we have the CEO himself to take over from me. So Werner, is this my cue to go? This is my cue to go. I'll go and enjoy it much more live and I'll listen to you guys. Thank you. Cuban, you're welcome.
Yeah, so this is very exciting for us. As you can see, the proud logo there on the side. We're close to where Charles standing now. The Pro Snooker. This is the Pro Snooker UGB Masters, and joining me in the commentary booth, I have the CEO of Pro Snooker, Mr. Cuban Moodley. Welcome, Mr. Moodley.
Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon to the viewers. What an exciting match we have. Definitely the seeding has worked out, 1 and 2.
Absolutely, and as we mentioned in the introductions, this is also a repeat of the final that we had over in Gold Reef City, number 1 and 2 facing each other again. Just to clarify, Charles came in ranked number 1 for this event, Fakhri Gerdin came in ranked number 2, and here they are in the final.
Yeah, well, I don't think the script could be any other way. They definitely 2 guys on top of the game. Both of them desperately want to win. Charles wants to make keep his winning record going. He has never known defeat yet in Pro Snooker. Fakhri is obviously the guy chasing the crown, and he's got all the work to do.
Absolutely, and we're going to get into that now, but we called you into the commentary booth and your timing couldn't have been any better. The reason why we're saying that is Alison and I started talking about the whole mini qualifier, the main qualifier, gets you into this event. Maybe if you can elaborate, anyone that's seeing this impressive table on screen, now they want to start playing, and Pro Snooker has created the perfect environment for that.
Yes, well, we're trying to bring the conditions as close to the conditions overseas. Obviously, this is a steel block cushion table. The balls that you're using is 1G aramith. The cloth is Strachan number 10 cloth. That is the highest quality. This is the ultimate. It's almost identical to a World Championship standard.
Absolutely, and Mr. Moodley, now I'm a youngster and I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, how am I going to start playing? There's the mini qualifier. I find a table. What do I do next?
Right. Well, if you find a table, the next step is to contact a promoter. Well, I think the first step is to join the Pro Snooker Facebook page. All the information is there. So you get to find a promoter in your area, and obviously the next step is playing.
That's it. So now I've entered a mini qualifier. I win that mini qualifier, and that then gets me into a spot into one of the main qualifiers.
That's correct. And if you win that main qualifier, then you are in the main event.
That's it. And so at the start of the event, we also had a total number of 16 players. 8 of them were ranked, and 8 of them then obviously found their spots by winning a main qualifier.
That's correct.
So we can see here on the table, Charles has been very impressive, and he's actually holding his break nicely here. Started off quite well with a long red. Beautiful position on the black, unfortunately missed, but he's now back at the table, and he's building. He's currently on a break of 35 and on 60 points in total. His opponent Fakhri only on 1, so in a strong position, Charles, at the start of this match.
Definitely. He's a very composed player, very experienced. Obviously, he's won the last 4 Pro Snooker events, and he's won the Arnold Classic as well. So that means 5 events on the trot. I mean, that's a hell of a record to have. We're sitting on the table, there's 4 reds left on the table, and he's already it's already at the snooker's required stage.
Yeah, very true, and this is what makes it so exciting. But there's also a few tournament rules, if we can just quickly touch on that. for this event. As soon as it comes to snooker is required, so let's just clarify for the viewers that don't understand, snooker is required basically means the points that are available on the table is not enough for you to take the lead. The only way that you can take the lead is by positioning your opponent in such a way that you force him to commit a foul.
Right. Basically, well, that's exactly the explanation. And so we have added a tournament rule here. Once there are 3 or more snookers required on with red balls on the table, you have to concede the frame. Probably not bothering to go back, so it's applied the rule. There's only 51 on the table, so it's more than 3 snookers required. So he has conceded the frame according to the rules. And obviously, part of that, it goes against the grain of snooker players, but we're not really concentrating on that aspect. What we're concentrating on, we want the more positive side of snooker to come out. The more putting, the break building, and that we feel is a recipe that will increase the standard of snooker around the country.
Absolutely, and I enjoy drawing comparisons between sports because something, for example, like cricket is quite well known throughout South Africa. It's one of our favorite sports to watch, and if I compare the traditional form of snooker, you can compare it a lot to 5-day, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love a 5-day test. If you understand the technique, there's a lot of interesting situations that you can find yourself in, even if it is a draw. But now we have something like the snooker shootout that we're seeing overseas, and that's bringing in more like a T20 element.
Right, it is exactly like that. Obviously, the snooker, after a while, watching the same format over and over and over, it gets kind of boring. But also, snooker wants to attract a new audience. It wants a younger audience, and the younger audiences want all the, I wouldn't say controversy, but they want the action-packed frames, and they want to see guys missing, and they want to see guys going for ridiculous putts. They want to see that exciting, flashed stuff.
Absolutely, and this is also now, and I'm again going to draw that comparison. If we look at what happened to cricket, not just as the sport, what the players actually managed to achieve, they started breaking records left, right, and centre. Now, an average score in a one-day, for example, the guys are scoring 400 plus.
Correct.
Just because of something that T20's done. Now, if we compare this again to something that's more action-packed, again, the players are going to grow in confidence. They're going to see that, listen, I don't necessarily have to go for a safety. This is well within my capabilities to make this pot. And while doing that, you're entertaining the crowd and the viewers.
Correct. You know, there was a time if a guy made, you know, in professional snooker, world professional snooker, made 25 century breaks in a season, that was considered like ridiculously good. I mean, today we have guys going well over the 100 mark of centuries, and we're having every tournament now, the tournament amount of centuries are already getting broken, every tournament, and new records are being set, and unfortunately South Africa has been out of it for a very, very, very long time. And this method here, what we've seen now, I mean, 5 years ago, or not even 5 years ago, 5 tournaments ago, right? Shaw probably would have not went for that pot. But there he's potted a ball, and he's in amongst the reds with a chance to make a break, or even a chance to get amongst the ball. So the players are now getting more attacking.
Absolutely, and I actually had the privilege of speaking to both of these players as well as the other players joining us in this event, and just getting to know them as well. And what was really fun for me is Fakhri said, watch me this tournament. I am an aggressive player. I like entertaining the viewers, and we've seen this throughout. He has gone through from first round, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and if you can maybe remind us what the score was in each and every single one of them.
Now he hasn't dropped a frame, so he's went 5-0, and that's all because of aggressive play.
Absolutely, so very entertaining play, and the frame that he has dropped against Charles, as Mr. Moodley said there, was the first one in this whole tournament, and that is very impressive at this level of competitiveness.
Well, Charles has only lost 1 frame in the tournament. Fakhri has also now just only lost his first frame in the tournament, and that's all aggressive play. And if you look at all the breaks, they've made all the breaks throughout this tournament. So they're applying what we basically preaching to them, and they're getting success, and they're getting better at it.
Absolutely, and it's thanks to what Pro Snooker's done there. As you mentioned, the quality, it's the Waraka table, it's the Strachen cloth, it's that wall stage, but then also now we're bringing in different elements. These guys are used to having a live audience, but now it's live streamed. We're going to tune over to DSTV a little bit later. It's more money being involved, and now we're getting more pressure, and we're getting these guys used to what it would feel like on that international
I mean, look
stage.
at the pot that he just pot now. White ball is dead on the cushion. I mean, has potted a ball into the middle pocket at a gentle pace. No concern if he's going to miss that ball, and he could possibly lose the frame if he misses the ball. But that's what we see the Ronnies do, or the Higgins do, or even when Henry was in prime. They did not get bothered with missing. They only concentrated on potting, break building, big breaks, entertaining crowds. So we don't have a big live audience due to the COVID regulations, but we're going to get to the stage where we're going to have 200, 300, 400 people in auditoriums wanting to come and watch these boys perform. And with the element now of live television coming into it, I mean, look at this. This is extremely difficult.
As Mr. Moody pointed out, being tight against the rail, you don't have a lot to work with that cue ball, yet he potted it, floating the cue ball down, knowing exactly what he wants to do, showing great control, and that is one of Fakhri's strong suits, that cue ball. I said it with Allison, my opinion, the most important ball on the table.
It is. Obviously, if you cannot control the cue ball, you cannot build breaks. You also have to have a decent amount of cue power. Both these players have excellent cue ball control, excellent cue power. They're both very attacking. They also both have good safety games. But this is not senseless attacking. They don't senselessly attack. I mean, they have a good combination of safety play and attack play. But it's not completely negative play as well. That's what we want to eliminate from our game. We want to eliminate that negativity or that negative style of playing. We want exciting play. We want to see people going on for pots. We want to see people win from the other guy making mistakes. And that has been our directive from day one. That's what we want to do. We want to see shots. We want to see shot making.
So that is the end of Fakhri's break. So we see Charles back at the table. He's attempting a long red here. Beautifully played it, exactly as you pointed out there. Could have left himself in quite a bit of trouble there if that ball rattled and stayed right in front of the pocket.
Yes, but I mean, you can't play the game thinking of what if I missed. You've got to play the game, well, I got a pot and continue potting. The game is actually at every other standard of the game, or every other country that plays of a high standard. They're not winning frames by snookering a guy 50 times or playing safety. They're winning frames by break building. And we got to get with the program.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Moodley, you also have your background, your history in playing, and you're quite a good player yourself. Let's quickly talk a little bit of tactics here. If you were in a position against, for example, a Shal or a Fakhri, and they are just dropping everything on the table, how would you approach that to counter that?
Well, obviously, my mentality in the way that I play snooker would be quite different, but most players will say, no, well, I've got to stop him from playing. And best way to stop him from playing is, play better safety or pot a ball and roll him behind the color. But I believe the best way to stop another guy from playing is to be playing yourself.
That's it. There's also a little bit of a saying doing the rounds in the snooker realm that the best tactic is keep your opponent in his seat.
Right, and the only way you can keep the opponent in the seat is by break building and potting balls. So, I mean, if a guy is playing well, at some point in time, the fight is going to start. So you're going to have to start playing yourself into the game and playing well yourself. And the old mentality was, I need to get a look in and I need to get, some table time. And I don't believe in that. Really, I don't. I believe that there's the ball on, you got to pot it. And if you lose by going for that aggressive shot and missing, so be it. I mean, look at the shot that he's just potted now. White ball again against a cushion. Obviously, there's no color available. And the red, I mean, the full length of the table, around about 4 meters away, and he's cut that as thin as a hair into the pocket. Now, this is a good safety shot. This is not a negative safety shot because he doesn't want to extract 8 points or 10 points from Shal. What he wants is Shal to leave him an opportunity to score.
Absolutely. So he is now basically put Shal in a position behind the green, and he can't see any red, so he's going to have to come off of a rail. Chances are Shal at the level that he can play will probably do that, but the trick behind it is the odds of Shal leaving a shot for Fakhri to get in and stay at the table and build a big break is quite high.
Well, I mean, we're playing in, the foul and miss was very strictly, but obviously this could even be multiple cushion shots, so might not even be off one cushion. So he wouldn't be troubled, if he misses it at his first attempt. But doesn't look like he's going to miss it at his first attempt. He's going to hit that ball. I mean, that's brilliant.
Absolutely, and exactly why Mr. Woody said it is brilliant is exactly for the reason that he's now left Fakhri with nothing.
Right. But, I mean, look at the pace he's played it with. I mean, it didn't just go down and whack that ball like you'd see most club players play. Right? And this is South African guys playing these type of shots. I mean, but maybe 2 years ago, I mean, he would have just gotten on and had a whack at it. Right?
Absolutely. And if ever you're a viewer and you want to ask yourself, was that a good shot or wasn't that a good shot, you basically pause the screen if you're watching a stream and it's not live TV. If it's live TV, hopefully you'll be able to pause the TV. Think by yourself, if I could take that cue ball with my hand and put it anywhere on the table, would that be the spot?
Well, he had a look at it, and his experience, he knows that would have been the safest spot, and that's what he did.
So, some great talent on show here. Maybe if we can also then just give a mention to some of the other ranking players that joined us. There was a total of 8 of them, so unfortunately they couldn't make it to the final. The final is only intended for 2 people, but they played really well throughout this event as well.
Well, all of them, in my opinion, had to play well. I mean, especially the 8 guys that qualified. I mean, some of them had to come through grueling matches. It was over a month of qualifying, and they've all come through. I mean, they came through to Durban. Some of them had to fly in, while some of them live in Durban. I mean, it's tremendous commitment. They've got to practice, come here, all sorts of pressures and stuff. So, yes, it's not an easy thing. I mean, there's a shot. I mean, he misses that ball. It's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's.
I mean, look at the shot. Obviously, he was trying to go past the back of that red, which didn't happen. But if he had missed that ball, he was in serious trouble. But he was fully committing to taking that ball on. Now, a few years ago, people don't play that type of snooker. They don't want to commit to shots. And that comes with the fear of losing. They get so afraid to lose that they don't want to play positive shots. And these guys are starting to demonstrate they have no fear of losing. They want to win. And when you want to win, you have to start playing those type of shots. They're not reckless shots as such. It just shows their talent or their skill.
Absolutely, and we can see there another safety being played by Shal there, very, very cleverly leaving the cue ball. Played at 2 rails, came from behind, left the cue ball behind the blue and the brown. That is perfect.
That's perfect. But also, you got to look at it. I mean, Shal knows exactly who he's playing. I mean, he knows he's played a player that didn't drop a single frame from a wealth of players, some of the best players in the country, and was in this tournament. And he didn't drop a frame. I mean, just also look at this shot. If it bounces off, I think he's fairly okay. I can't see. Now there's a red on the cushion there, but if it's too straight, Shal's not gonna bother with that. He's probably gonna try and maybe clip a red and put him back in the same position behind the blue, but he feels he can get through, so
it's taking it on. If we can also just explain to the viewers, you'll often see the players pushing and running that cue ball all the way into the bulk end. If we can maybe firstly explain to the viewers as to what that bulk line is, where is it on the table, what we refer to as the bulk line, and why they're doing that.
See, now he's probably played it a tad bit too soft. Maybe he's going to go enough or wrong angle chose. But I mean, it's just a fraction off there from getting the snooker. But anyway, the bulk line is a line that lies on the table, approximately quarter of the table, running all the way on that line where the D is, and everything in front of that line or behind that line is called balk.
That's exactly, and so we often see players pushing the cue ball into the bulk, and the reason for that being is distance on a snooker table is your friend.
Yeah, well, not only distance, but also there's 3 ball colors there that can provide some sort of hiding spot for the cue ball. But he's taking on this ball, yeah. I mean, he's obviously had a good opportunity to place the cue ball on his favorite angle. He's spotted the ball now. Now it's up to him to put some points on the board here.
Absolutely. Mr. Moodley, I actually want to give you a big thank you. It's an absolute privilege. Thank you so much for what Pro Snooker is doing for the sport. It's absolutely great. Great having you join me in the commentary booth. It's always fun to share a couple of thoughts. Thank you so much. We ask that you please enjoy the remainder of the final when we bring in our next guest. Thank you, Mr. Moodley.
Thank you, Werner. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for asking me down. All the viewers enjoyed the match. Make sure that the new one is starting in 2 days' time, qualification. So make sure you look out for that. Bye-bye.
Big thank you there to Mr. Moodley. It's always fun bringing in all of the parties involved and having a chat with them. It is very exciting to see. And on that note, we are just getting ready for our next guest, and we are also going to cut over to DSTV shortly, so please bear with us.
A warm welcome to our Cape Town TV viewers. This is the Pro Snooker UGB Masters and we are live from Durban.
Welcome everyone. The match has already started 30 minutes ago and you're watching the final between Charles Jonk and Fakhri Geerden. Stay back, relax and enjoy the action coming to you.
So a warm welcome to all our Cape Town TV viewers joining us. We are live here in Durban and it is the UGB Masters Pro Snooker ranking event, and this is the final, and you have joined us about half an hour into the match, and thank you so much for joining us. We are definitely planning on keeping you entertained, and without any further ado, I also have to kick off this commentary session along with a special guest joining us. As I said, this is the Pro Snooker UGB Masters. I have Mr. Marius Bressler joining us. He is the head of operations for the UGB Corporation. Mr. Marius, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That's an absolutely exciting event. This is now the second time that we've had this event. The first one we had at Gold Reef City, and funny enough, it's a repeat of that final.
I must say it was quite interesting. We were at the final as well, and it was absolutely nail-biting. Both players playing an excellent game of snooker, trying to strangle one another. It's also the time cap that was placed on it. It's just been fantastic, and a fantastic display for what we have in South Africa.
Yeah, so for any of the viewers that might have missed that final, just to give you an idea as to what happened there, Charles and Fakhri playing in that final. Charles coming into this event ranked number 1, Fakhri coming in ranked number 2. In that event, the match was limited to 3.5 hours, and Fakhri was basically in the lead most of the time. Charles doing his best to catch up, keeping it close the whole time, and right at the very last couple minutes, Charles managed to swerve a ball, make it, and then made a black at the length of the table, won that game, and it was absolutely exhilarating, and we might be in for exactly the same thing in this final. But Mr. Marius, the main reason why you're here is you guys are the main sponsors of this event. You are here representing the UGB Corporation. You guys are heavily involved with Q Sport, not just snooker, Q Sport as a whole. Can you maybe just elaborate a little bit exactly what it is that UGB Corporation does?
Well, firstly, UGB Corporation is a holding company for a whole bunch of brands that is listed under the company as like United Pool Tables being one of them, Buffalo Speedcloth, and a couple of other main brands. In terms of the pool, I don't think we are limited just to focusing on pool. It's predominantly snooker, it's carom, it's as much as we possibly can get involved in billiards. We want to get involved. In South Africa, we've always been seen as taking the backstage to other countries, and we've got the players and we've got the potential, and it's really, really great for us to get involved and just see these players grow. What we've, if I take previous years and previous competitions, and to see what we've built over the years, and where we've and what we've started achieving, what these players have actually achieved, sending players overseas and being there to help assist. It's just really been a great honor and a privilege for us to be involved here.
Absolutely, and to any of the viewers, there's so many brands out there relating to Q Sports, and chances are, if it is the best, you guys can provide that. You guys have distribution licenses for all of the major brands. You guys are doing incredible work with that, and as you said there, supporting the Q Sport community, and we're seeing players across time. We have a natural talent for the sport in South Africa, and now the UGB Corporation comes in and they're bringing the best equipment to these players, and they're creating the perfect environment for them to experience that international feel. The quality is exceptional, and by doing that, introducing it at the right stage, we might see someone playing at that top level and maybe getting a world champion thanks to the work that UGB Corporation is doing.
Well, firstly, thank you. It would be an absolute honor if we can go to that level, and I think that's what we're all striving to do, is to get there. But I do think it starts at grassroots levels, and as much as we can possibly do, there's other organizations that also need to chip in and assist. And I think it starts with the schooling system, it starts with the curriculum, it starts with getting these people to start playing there, or just find that niche, whether it's 9-ball, whether it's snooker, whether it's pool, and just really take them from grassroots levels, teach them things that actually make sense, teach them things like budgeting and how to be managed as a player. And I think that's where a lot of players maybe start losing that passion, because it's playing snooker is not just about being a good player, it's also about managing a whole bunch of other aspects. And when you start managing that, if I can take a guy like Charles Jonk, for instance, when everything else around you is managed in such a way that you can focus on your playing, all of a sudden you think the things you learn when it comes to just being steady, just thinking about the game, and you don't have to worry about other things. All of a sudden things like that starts making sense, and I do think it starts at grassroots level. It starts like snooker is a game that's firstly played in your head and then it's played on the table. And when you can start getting players their head in the right position and to start thinking about things, all of a sudden you're just sitting with these world-class players.
Charles committing a foul there. He was left behind the brown, trying to get to the yellow. Unfortunately, just missed it there, so that is a foul. So we'll see now if Fakhri asks Charles to attempt that shot again, or if he's going to carry on playing. Does carry on playing, makes the yellow to the middle pocket. So Fakhri is now just extending on that lead. So he's aiming to make it 1-1. Just to recap as to what you guys might have missed in the first 30 minutes. Basically, Charles scored a very nice break and went 1 up. It is a best out of 9, so the first player to reach 5 points, 5 frames rather, wins the match, and Fakhri is looking to equal that now and make it 1-1. So off to a good start. But back to you, Mr. Bresley, was with regards to the work that UGB did. And at the start of this event, we had the formalities, and joining us in the crowd is a special guest, Mr. Dane Naka, and he does a lot of development work here in KZN, especially working with kids. And he's put all of his own time, his own money, and provided the tables and teaching the kids snooker specifically. And I had a chat with him, and basically it boiled down to his train of thought was, if you look at the sport, if you see Charles on screen there, the way that he's dressed, on the back, his sponsors, it's now teaching them that there's a specific set of rules, and now you start delving a little bit deeper down to the fundamentals of this game. It's now not just about making a ball, it's about discipline, it's about focus,
Absolutely.
It's about mental strength, physical strength, keeping your mind healthy, and dealing with negative outcomes. You might lose sometimes. Do you now break a cue? In snooker, if you were to break a cue, you'd probably be banned, because snooker has this brilliant image of absolute professionalism. From your side as a business, does that help you and obviously encourage you to get involved with the sponsorship if that is the image created by snooker?
Well, most definitely. I think ideally we would like that for all cue sports. I think once you start looking at the professionalism, all of a sudden you can justify the money spent. A lot of these players go through a major effort just to get. It's about that image, and it's about, look at a guy like Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's just got such a presence. For instance, he wins a game, he gets on the table, he jumps and he celebrates, and that's pretty much it. But other than that, everything is so professional, and it's good for us in South Africa to be associated with professionals. And it's really our wish that we can, and our aim, that we can take all billiard sports in South Africa and aim to be as professional as what we see here. I think it just makes the players feel proud as well. It's always nice to dress up. I think our wives and agree when a man dresses into a tuxedo or suit that they just feel better and they feel good. And I think it just really contributes to the game.
Absolutely. And also referring to that now in the way that these guys carry themselves, and we have the viewers watching at home, and your youngster might be pulling at your pants or at your dress and saying, mommy, this is something that I now want to start doing. And this is what makes this tournament so special, is a Pro Snooker along with UGB has now created an environment where if you can get access to a table, you can enter a mini qualifier. It's referred to as a mini qualifier. Anyone. You do not have to be registered to a specific association. You don't have to have a background in the sport. You could be an absolute first-timer. You can enter a mini qualifier. And if you win that mini qualifier, you can go through to a main qualifier. If you win that main qualifier, you are playing in this event. So it's being made widely available to the whole public. And now your youngster is nagging, Mom, Dad, I want to partake in this. And now the level of professionalism here, not just the way that the players are dressed, the venue. Just look at the match officials. They are wearing gloves. They are certified officials. They are not just a roundabout.
That's very true. It's actually, I think snooker for a long time in South Africa has also taken the back leg when it comes to billiard sports and when it comes to the rest of the world specifically. And I must agree, I can't fault you on that and what you said here. The match officials are professional. They are quick. They know what they need to do. Everything is so well organized. So we also thank the organizers. It's a privilege and an honor to sponsor events like this if we know that these events are going to be on a next level.
Absolutely. And so as we see there, just a couple of highlights coming from the previous match. We've been having such a blast chatting. I think it's time that we maybe just get back to actually what's happening on the table. But yeah, it's always great having guests so heavily involved in something that we all have a passion for. And so big thank you. So as we watch a couple of highlights, we have the match official just racking the balls. So we'll get started soon. And basically the scores currently will be 1-1. Fakhri has now equalized the scores, building on a nice break there. So we definitely have a final on our hands here. So back to how this event took place. Exactly as we said, there was 8 qualified players. They got entered into this event by default, and then there was 8 spots open, and those 8 spots were then filled by, obviously as we said, mini qualifiers. The winners going to main qualifiers, and the winner of that main qualifier takes one of those 8 spots.
That is correct, and as you said, it makes it very, very easy for people playing at the grassroots level. If you want to come through and try your hand at snooker, obviously it's a very strategic sport, and it's not the easiest sport to start off with. But if you really have a knack for it, then as a grassroots player, you'd be able to play in the same competitions and play against these big names, which I think is a first for South Africa as well. There's no process that you need to go through to actually start playing here. You just go through the qualifiers, and you get to end up playing over here.
Absolutely. And just for some of the viewers, if we maybe caught you off guard, you were going through the channels and you came across this big table with all the different color balls, and you thinking to yourself, I'm not actually used to this. All of a sudden the table's massive, there's more balls on the table, there's reds all over the show. And let's just maybe cover this, the basics for you, just so that we're all on the same page. You are watching snooker. The majority of the public is used to pool that's played on a 7-foot table. This table is in essence 4 times the size of the table that you are used to. So for the greater public, it might not look like that in table, this or on the TV, but in person, this table is immense. It is a massive, massive table. So just to clarify the colors on the table, there are 15 reds that are racked in a triangle shape, as you saw there before the break off. And those 15 reds are allocated 1 point. And if you pot that ball, you are then awarded that 1 point. But for the other colors on the table, excluding the white, that is the cue ball, the colors that you see is in a specific order is the yellow, the green, the brown, the blue, the pink, and the black. And those are also then allocated their individual points, starting again with the yellow, that's 2 points, followed by the green, which is 3, the brown is 4, the blue is 5, pink 6, black 7. So 7, the second most important ball on the table, the cue ball, the most important. The reason for that being is you need to control that ball on a piece of string, because if you don't, you might make a ball, but you can't make anything thereafter. So the aim of the game is potting a red ball, which will award you 1 point, then any other color ball, so that would be a minimum of 2 points, maximum of 7 points. And if you're able to do that, you go back to red and a color again, and a red and a color again. You repeat that until all 15 balls are off the table, and then you finish those colors in a specific order, starting from the yellow, then the green, brown, blue, pink, black, and the frame is then done. So that is the basics of what you are watching, and I hope I clarified that enough. Marius, how did I do there?
You did it very well, actually, and I think Shah really assisted you there, improving your point of potting a red and then black for maximum points on that. Also, just a very interesting fact for the viewers that don't know, a table like this, if you've ever wondered what a table like this weighs at, you're probably looking at about 1.5 tons here, consisting of 5 slates, each weighing close to 300 kilograms. So these tables are extremely heavy, and they do require professional installation. You can't just set up a table like this and take it down without having a professional. Each slate needs to be placed absolutely perfectly, and then you need a spirit level to just make sure it's level, because a few millimeters out on the one side is going to have a huge effect on your game on the other side.
Absolutely, and I think while you're here and we're now talking specifically about the table in view there, a Roraka table, it is world standard. It is absolutely perfect and one of the best tables that you can possibly get in the world. Is that true?
These tables are excellent tables, and I think what makes them such good tables, if you look at the cushions, they what we refer to as steel block cushions. The world has moved away from traditional cushions where you don't get as good bounce, and they've moved towards steel block cushions. So in that cushion frame, you have steel hiding away there somewhere, which gives you a really, really good bounce off the cushions. And I think that's what the players like.
Absolutely, and also the added benefit of that is the consistency behind, for example, the reaction that you would get off of a cushion, the cushion being the side, basically the part between the different holes that you bounce off of, that is referred to the cushion, or the rail is the other word sometimes used. So the level of consistency and the standard of this table is then so consistent. Nothing does anything a little bit different anywhere on the table. It is absolute perfection. And now also referring to the cloth, for example, that they're playing on, again, world standard, Strachen number 10, absolute quality. You can't get any better. So it's just creating the perfect environment for our South Africans to get as close as possible to an absolute world standard international event.
I agree with you there. Strachen has really come out to the party with regards to this cloth. Excellent cloth. The players like it. Us as installers, we like it. It's easy to install. It plays really well. So I think they're really, really sitting on a very, very good product there.
Absolutely, and again, that is the same cloth that you'll see used in the international events. So we can see there, Fakhri is now just adding on to his lead, doing really well. So we are hoping to see an exciting final here, and Fakhri is coming to the party, and he's continuing to build on his break. And if we refer to your break, that's basically, as we explained there, the idea behind the game is potting that red by another color, red, another color. That is your break. So it's all about break building. And if you sit down and you go do the math based on the points that is awarded per ball, the maximum that you can score in a single frame without any fouls being committed is 147, and that is an absolute privilege, and it is very difficult to achieve. A lot of the players have never achieved a 147, but it is possible, and that is basically achieved by red followed by black, red followed by black, and again till all the reds are done, and then going through your sequence of colors, which again is the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Then you score 147, and the crowd goes wild because that is an exceptional achievement. Yes, so we're going to say a massive thank you to Mr. Marius Bresler for joining us. He is a busy man with a busy schedule, so he needs to quickly step out. So we're going to say a big thank you to him, and we'll have guests joining us throughout this broadcast. Mr. Bresler, thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute privilege. Once again, massive thank you for all of that UGB group is doing for the sport. The viewers, the spectators and the players have an absolute passion for this. Without you guys, it would have never been possible. So massive thank you.
Once again, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to sponsor the event and to just be here and just watch these legends make history.
Thank you, Marius. So back to the action, ladies and gents. We can see Fakhri is at the table, and it is still early stages. And just to cover once again, if there's anyone new joining us, it is a total maximum number of frames that you'll see is 9. It's the first person to reach 5 frames won. and that will be the winner. So it is possible to then have a result of 5-0, and 5-0, funny enough, has grown quite accustomed to Fakhri. He has gone through round 1, as well as his quarterfinal and semi-final, without dropping a single frame. But then coming into the final, the very first frame, Fakhri dropped. So Charles making it 1-0 and taking a frame from Fakhri. Very interesting there, and but Fakhri playing exceptionally aggressive and doing really well, and good to see him perform. Good to see him perform so well in this final. Had a chat with him before the start of the match, and he said basically aggression is his strong suit, so playing aggressively, and he's been entertaining the crowd thoroughly throughout the weekend. We started on Saturday. We've had 3 sessions yesterday, and we've had 2 today. With those 3 sessions, we basically saw round 1, a total of 16 players. That was broken down to a total number of 8 players. With those 8 players, they then played in their individual quarterfinals. That was then brought down to 4 players. That was then the end of the day. This morning we started off with the semi-finals, and in the semi-finals followed by the finals. So very exciting weekend. The semi-finals, Charles Jonk played David Anderson. David Anderson, a very well-known player throughout South Africa. He's travelled the world, he's achieved so much in the sport. It gave us an entertaining match there. Fakhri, on the other hand, played Jason Theron. Jason Theron is more known for playing on the 9-ball circuit, but he's now joined the UGB Masters for the first time. Again, did really well. He defeated his opponent that was ranked, that was Carl Akalu. Close encounter there, and then he played his next round. He played against Jaden Nobin, and that again was a very long match, and it was blow-by-blow encounter, and an absolute entertainment if you're a purist of the game and you understand what they were doing, because they were trading punches the whole day. And Jason coming up against Fakhri. Unfortunately, Fakhri just too strong for Jason there, and Fakhri beating Jason 5-0. So it has been an entertaining weekend, but we now cross back to the action on the table here. Charles and Fakhri, both of them, the scores on at the moment very close. 17 points to Charles, 15 points to Fakhri. Only a 2-point lead by Charles at the moment, so very careful. It's still anyone's frame. Anything can happen. We see Fakhri at the table now. He has been left with a shot on to the middle, beautifully played. And see the key there, he has left himself position on black and pink, so it's up to him. He'll probably be going for the black there, obviously, because it is more points, a total of 7. So again, nicely played, and as you can see there, as you watch this, that is the key, is leaving yourself with an opportunity on your next ball so that you can stay at the table and bowl the break. If you can't, you need to leave your opponent in a position where they don't have a shot so that you can get back to the table as quickly as possible. So joining me in the commentary booth is my regular partner in crime, Mr. Ellison Sabanda.
Indeed, partner. Thank you so much. I'm coming from the signature room. The atmosphere is just eccentric in there. People are enjoying themselves. Yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better finale.
Yeah, absolutely. Repeat of the final that we had at Gold Reef. Exhilarating. We quickly covered it with Marius Bressler, the first guest joining us from the UGB Corporation. They had an exhilarating final down to the wire, and scores are 1-1 at the moment, so we might be in for a repeat.
Yeah, it's obviously a very balanced affair at the moment. As you can see, it's punch for punch. No one is going to fight away from this, but still anyone's taking this frame. But what do you think? I think Fakhri might just run away with it. he's been handed a glorious opportunity.
Yeah, look, it's a tough one to call. Charles and Fakhri have a lot of experience. These guys have been playing since they were teens. Charles started off with his dad. Spoke a little bit about it. Me and him actually started playing. His dad taught him how to play, and he was privileged enough to actually win an Eastern Province doubles title with his dad, which I think is a very special feeling for him. And then Fakhri also started at a very young age, and there you go. These guys have achieved so much. And as you said there, Charles is ranked number 1 for the event. Fakhri is ranked number 2. Fakhri has been showing the stronger performances throughout the weekend, and he is also ranked number 1 in South Africa. So that is a big statement. So it's all about momentum and who can play the best in the moment and who can collect themselves. But it's also about that experience, and Charles also has a lot. So he'll know exactly what to do if Fakhri starts running away with the match.
Yeah, no, of course. It's way early to talk about who's going to take the match. But the frame, in terms of the frame, I thought Fakhri had been granted an opportunity there to really rake in some points onto the board. But yeah, there was an abrupt stop to that. Both players obviously seasoned campaigners. Like you just said, Fakhri being the reigning SA snooker champion, obviously it's a bold statement. And Charles not losing any final that he's played in the Pro Snooker events also screams a louder statement.
Absolutely, and both of these guys have won titles, SA titles in the past, so they are very familiar and well known in this sport. So it's still anyone's game, and that is exactly why we're watching. And just to give you guys a little bit of an idea as to who Charles is. Charles is joining us from Port Elizabeth. He's a 40-year-old and married. He's got a son, and he's also told me that he has a little one, 7 months old.
7 months old, yeah.
So he said, if at any point in time it looks like I have a few bags under my eyes, please understand it's not me being older than I look. I do have a 7-month-old at home, so please bear that in mind.
Yes, he actually played one of the events like 2 weeks after his son had been born. So, yeah, special moments for a special player.
Yeah, so great to see. And then Charles also brought his own sponsors to this event, and we also want to give a big thank you to them. Without the player sponsors, we had Mr. Maurice Bressler in from the UGB group, but the player sponsors also important. He is sponsored by WRD distributors, as well as the rental company, and the rental company has been with Charles for a very long time. WRD now getting involved as well. So big thank you to them for getting involved, making it easier for Charles and less pressure on him so that he can focus on the game.
Havana Lounge as well has been with him for quite a bit. They've always been with Charles as well, as much as I can remember.
Very true. And then also on the other hand, his opponent, Mr. Fakhri Gardin, is 39, and he is sponsored by Screen Vision. So all of these guys involved, a heartfelt thank you to all of you. It is absolutely special what you guys are doing. We have a great passion for this game, and without you guys helping the players get to these tournaments, they're traveling from all over the show. As I said, Charles from Port Elizabeth, and Fakhri is from Johannesburg. So traveling far, we are in Durban. These sponsors are just assisting these guys to get to the event and focus on the job at hand.
Very important point that you are mentioning about sponsors. Players just need to be outgoing as well. You know, I don't think you just get a sponsor whilst you're sleeping at home or whilst you're chilling on your couch, and then boom, you got a sponsor. You've got to be outgoing. You've got to make sure that you're active on the social media pages. If you're not a technically gifted person when it comes to social media, you can find somebody to help you with those sort of things, you know, because sponsors want to get mileage. You see, like what Charles is doing now, he's got them branded all over, and when he's playing, the sponsors are happy. We live on DSTV, and they're getting mileage from that. So it's an encouragement to other players. In this tournament, we've got, like you mentioned, Fakhri, we've got Rafiq as well. He's got United sponsoring him. He's got PP Moy. I don't know someone else, but he's got 3 sponsors, if I'm not mistaken. And David Anderson has got How Tips and My Dear Brands. But it's the players that get to the business end of things, the players that perform well as well, do get sponsors. So it's a give and take. I think we joined in by one of South Africa's finest.
Yep, so it is an absolute privilege also then to bring in our next guest while we enjoy this final. He is the head coach of South Africa, Mr. Rafiq Lambada. Mr. Rafiq, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Verona. It's a pleasure to be here. An exciting match.
Absolutely. So as we said there, you are the head coach of South Africa.
Correct.
You're also a player, but you are here on simply that title as head coach. We have youngsters watching. How do we start that off?
You know, I always tell the future generation of snooker players, we had to learn the hard way. And that was to steal with your eyes. We didn't have anyone coaching us like our counterparts overseas, especially our generation. And we're fortunate that in South Africa we've developed a large coaching or Q-Sport coaching network. And we have school programs in place, you know, it's growing. And one of the best pieces of advice I can give is get a coach and work on the fundamentals. Fundamentals are so important. These guys that we're watching have honed their skill over the years without any coaching, but they've picked up the good habits. They do have some bad habits. You know, I was watching Charles. Charles has a lot of body movement on his shot. I think if he had to just slow down a bit more and keep absolutely still, he'd pot more balls. So fundamentals are very important, and that is where the youngsters have to go.
Absolutely, I'll agree with you there. I don't think Charles might necessarily agree with you, but that's also from a player's perspective.
Correct.
But as you said there, so just for the viewers, just so that we're all on the same page, the players have quickly opted to just take a quick break. They are allowed to do that in between frames. It is absolutely tough mentally and physically to play at this level, so the players ask for a quick break. We're going to start with the 4th frame shortly. Mr. Stefan, our match official, to get us underway with the 4th frame. But as you said there, Mr. Rafiq, the fundamentals.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to build a house that's going to stand for 100 years when the foundation is there. And that is basically what you mean with that.
That is correct.
So something small, you might not think it is that important, creeps into your game, and it takes forever to unlearn.
100%. Bad habits are very, very hard to get rid of. As humans, it takes 21 days to learn a new habit, to get rid of a habit. And with snooker, it's all about owning that cue action. It's got to be so perfect. You know, if you look at Ronnie O'Sullivan started at the age of 9, you know. So the younger you are, the younger you start, you will get to this level, definitely.
Absolutely. So we basically covered that foundation now,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of things that we'll touch on, but it's not about specifically doing the same thing over and over and over.
Yes.
Well, it's also what you do off the table.
Correct. So, you know, I always say, and it's something, it's an ethos that I believe in. Healthy mind, healthy body. The minute you program in or exercise in your mind, your body follows suit. Especially because this game is more mental stamina than physical stamina. You have to be at the top of your mental game playing at this level. And when you start young, the routines that are employed by the coaches enable you to get that. So it's very, very important.
Absolutely. And it's also this is, without a doubt, a difficult sport.
Yes.
It's not easy. You can play, you can still have fun while you're learning it, but to perform at this level is difficult. So no one is denying that.
Yeah.
But that's also so important, and that's why we love this game so much, because a lot of the things you can tie back to everyday life.
Correct.
And this is now a perfect example. It's a tough game. You end up losing. You can't put a break of more than 20 together for the first three years that you play this game.
Yes.
How do you deal with that pressure? And once you can teach that to someone, how to deal with that frustration, and am I doing the right thing, and it applies so well to life as well.
Correct.
So if you've got those skills in the sport, you can apply it to your own life.
Yes, very true. A lot of the top players now not only work with a snooker coach, there's a sports psychologist involved, and it's very, very important. The two go hand in hand. Fakhri just breaking the pack there.
Yeah, so this is basically a little bit of a back and forth that we're seeing at the table now. Fakhri and Charles fighting it out to see who can get the first opportunity, and this is now where the key comes into snooker, the opportunity to then start with that break building, and that is the key. So as we'd said, we covered for the viewers the basic point allocation of the balls that you can see on the table, the 15 reds, and then you start the yellow, green, brown, the blue, the pink and the black, and those are then allocated. And the only way that you can score heavily is by break building, because you need to pot a red, then a different color, then a red, and a different color, and that's break building. If you just pot reds, the most points you can score is 15.
15, yeah. And you know, the 147, the elusive 147, is the holy grail for all snooker players. And in this scenario, Fakhri has made a few in his, in his game. I think he's just managed to get the black there.
If he has, that would be perfect positioning, and positioning, we spoke about that as well. Just clarifying some of the terms for some of the viewers that might not understand exactly what's happening here. Cue ball positioning is so important, and it's probably one of the best skills to have, is that cue ball control, because if you make your shot easy and your next shot also easy, that's basically what it comes down to.
100%, I totally agree with you, Bernard. And with the juniors watching, it's great to watch how these guys play, because you pick up strategy, the safety aspect, when to attack, when not to attack. It's not just about potting balls. You have to wait your chance. And Charles is very good at that. That's what makes him the #1 seeded player on Pro Snooker.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that patience game,
Yeah.
because knowing that I can pull the trigger at any given point in time, but if I pull the trigger and it doesn't go according to plan, I can leave my opponent on with an open table, and what happens then?
Yeah, very true.
So just to quickly explain to the viewers what happened there, 2 reds actually dropped.
Yes.
And with the 2 reds dropping there, it's completely legal, nothing wrong with that. Each red is awarded 1 point, so a total of 2 points.
2 points, correct.
Charles having a look at that brown. No, mistaken. He's going for the red. I was just about to say we are about to see one of the toughest shots, and that is the distance, basically table length shots. And we'll quite often see the cue ball going into, and I spoke to it about Mr. Moodley, he clarified to us what the bulk end is.
Yes.
Cue ball going into the bulk end, we'll see that quite often. Why is that?
The bulk end, if you look at it, I always talk about vectors. So if you had to place the white anywhere in the bulk behind any of the 3 colors, it creates a vector from the point of the color ball towards the pockets. And that is basically what covers, and that is what creates the safety. So the players are always trying to get in behind one of the bulk colors, especially when there's a safety battle on.
Absolutely. And over and above just the 3 balls on that bulk line, again those 3 balls being the yellow, the green and the brown.
Correct.
Apart from that, if you happen to not get in behind those, chances are you have distance on your side as well. And on a snooker table, distance is your friend.
Correct, especially with these tables on the steel block tables. If you saw that where the ball just rattled, the old Union billiard tables would have taken that ball easily. Here we go, and you see the ball rattle in the pocket.
Yeah, so the level of precision in this game, especially on these types of tables, and that's exactly what Pro Snooker did here, and we discussed that as well a little bit, is Pro Snooker created an environment for these players to now start competing at a professional level, but getting them ready for the international stage. So as soon as they go there, they'll be playing on these tables,
Correct.
on the cloth, with these balls, with a crowd, being live broadcasted, with the pressure on, playing for a title, and now you're getting used to this. And now we'll start seeing South Africans performing internationally, and hopefully one day world champ.
No, for sure. The WPBSA are always asking, where is South Africa? We had greats in the game, Pirimans, Peter Francisco, San Francisco, Salvino. There were numerous players that played overseas, and the last couple of years we've not been on the international circuit. We've basically fallen behind. South Africa used to be the powerhouse for Q Sports in Africa in terms of snooker, and we've fallen behind so much that Egypt, North Africa have taken over. They're now the powerhouse in Africa.
Absolutely, but now fortunately, as you said there, that is now in the past. We're now moving forward.
100%.
There's so much happening, and the level is just improving, and we're now in a new era.
Correct.
And that is exactly why Pro Snooker, the UGB Corporation's gotten involved. It is changing. We can see the level of play. It's absolutely improving. And also quite interesting is you have a rich history in the sport.
Yes.
And are you of the same opinion that times are changing? It's the shootout that's taking place internationally, just to give the viewers an idea as to what that is. It's a much quicker form of the game. It's a much more exciting form of the game, and we're seeing that players now starting to score higher breaks. Back in the day, it was Steve Davis. He started making the first couple of changes in snooker internationally, started taking more risks, scoring more higher breaks, and then we see there the cue ball going down there, Fakhri, so that is 4 points being allocated for Charles for that foul.
Yeah, Steve Davis, Stephen Henry as well. The infamous blue, where he puts the blue into the center and the white going into the pack. One of the mainstay shots that professionals today employ, created or used by Stephen Henry and Steve Davis. And they were instrumental in creating that change, because back then it was just whatever was loose, play into the pack, that type of thing. Never off a pot and into the pack. So the other shot is the Ding Junhui shot, where he goes, pots the ball, the blue into the center of two cushions and into the pack. So he's allocated, he's given a shot to break building. So the game has evolved, and you're quite right. The shot clock, I'd love to see us employ shot clock in the pro snooker circuit. It'll change the game.
Absolutely. So we touched on Davis having his impact, Henry having his impact, and then we started seeing when the Stephen Henry and the Ronnie O'Sullivan, that rivalry.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden there's media traction behind it. More people that's never watched snooker now start watching snooker, and I think that we are in a new era now. I feel that with everything that is happening in the sport, we have so many records that have stood for a very long time. Some of them highly unlikely to be broken. I actually had a chat with Warren Horsley about this as well. Is now the level of competition is increasing so much on an international stage that chances are that you're going to have a 7-time world champion twice in a row, and those kinds of records probably won't be, because every tournament there'll be a new winner.
Yeah, so if you look at Ronnie O'Sullivan, he's chasing Stephen Henry's seven titles, and he's at that age where he's about to stop playing now. He's going to retire soon. So he's limited. There are players that are coming through. Zhao Xingtong, Yan Bintao, a lot of the Chinese players, because they, again, if I can just give you a bit of an anecdote, the Chinese have invested heavily in development. Juniors. Zhao Xingtong came to the UK at the age of 16, winning the IBSF World Champs. Incidentally, Fakhri Hirdin played him in the IBSF World Championship and actually beat him. So, the level is there, the competition to participate, to win is there. It's just that our guys need more exposure, and this is the perfect platform for that.
Absolutely, you see there, nice controlled red into the corner pocket, and Charles just holding position for the black and wanting to build on the break. Charles started off the match really well, actually giving Fakhri his first frame loss in this whole tournament.
Correct.
Fakhri went through this event a 5-0, 5-0, 5-0 and 5-0. First frame in the final, Charles pulls one back, deals the first blow, but now Fakhri has dealt two in a row.
Yeah. If you see, he's just overhit that. The table is playing lovely. It's been brushed and ironed beautifully. You'll see the way the balls roll. Perfect. It's conducive to good snooker. And we've got two proponents at the table that are excellent. I think Charles, one of the finest cues in the country. Fakhri as well. Fakhri, the 2021 SA Classic champion. It's going to be a tough battle for both of them. They both want to win. Unfortunately, there can only be one winner. And the guy that really keeps his mind together will win this one.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of a disappointment in Charles' face as he missed that red to the middle pocket. From a coaching perspective,
yes,
would you try and show your students, listen, don't show your opponent what you're feeling, or are you of opinion to get it out and move on?
Poker face is the rule. Poker face, when we watch these guys on TV and social media playing poker and sitting behind sunglasses and white-brimmed hats trying to hide their feelings, the snooker players are the same. The minute you can actually pick up when someone is nervous or having a bad day. If you look at Charles now, he's watching that table intently. He's not nervous. No, he's telling himself, I need a chance, just one chance. That's all it takes.
Absolutely, and also looking at the table, a chance is all you need because everything is basically out in the open. There's one red that's close to the middle pocket there, that's on the rail. That's probably the ball in the toughest spot, in my opinion. And then you've got the two reds on the bottom right-hand side here, but there are enough balls close enough to that you can develop them.
Correct.
Maybe if we can also, just for the viewers, me referring to developing those reds,
yes.
What is meant by that?
So what happens is, if we use the red that is near the brown ball in center pocket, there's a shot that you could play where, for example, pot a red and play the brown. But in playing the brown, the white ball has to touch the red that's on the cush and bring it into play. So it's not on the cush anymore. On the cushion, it's harder to pot. You've got to take it either to the top pocket or to the bottom pocket. The top is always the black end, the bottom end is always the bulk end. So it's a tough shot. But if that ball was in the center of the table with what we refer to as the meat of the table, it's easier to pot.
Yeah, there's a lot more options to it.
Yes.
So then just developing is you'll always see these players thinking a couple of steps ahead. They'll know which one is my problem balls. They'll know which ball they'll use to get onto that problem ball. And that is what makes a great player, is guys that can see that and pull it off.
100%. Thinking 2 to 3 shots ahead. Knowing what, one of the things I teach is using a blindfold and moving balls around and teaching people how to remember the lay of the balls, because the end of the game, it's a mental thing, if I can call it that. You have to remember, you have to play with such concentration. The youngster that played yesterday, Hamza Mohammed, he told me this morning, when he got to his hotel room last night, he lay down on the bed, and next minute it was Sunday morning. And I asked him what was wrong. He says, I was totally fatigued after my quarterfinal match.
Absolutely, and in speaking to the really good players,
yes,
their level of mental focus in this game, some of them you might have a conversation 3 years after a big game, and you'll refer to frame number 4, and he'll be able to close his eyes and tell you where the balls were in that frame, what went wrong, what went right. That is the level of focus.
100%. 100%. I always remember playing a player. We played at the World Team Championships in San Jose in 2005, and I played a guy from Thailand called Vaitun Punbon. And I always remember the 76 break because he'd been making centuries on everybody. And he broke off, left me a red up, and I slotted in a 76. And he was absolutely upset about it because he was vying for the most century breaks at this tournament. It was between him and Pankaj Advani of India. And I messed it up for him.
Absolutely. Mr. Lambada, you are from the Wanderers Club.
That is correct.
Buckley.
Yes.
And Charles, playing from his club, the importance of these clubs for these players. These tables are big. It's highly unlikely that you'll have one of these tables at your home. If you are, you're one of the lucky few.
Yes.
These clubs are important. You are from the Wanderers Club. You coach from the Wanderers Club. You play from the Wanderers Club.
Yes.
One of the oldest clubs in South Africa.
Correct.
The work they are doing as well. So important for the sport.
I totally agree. Without them, without these big clubs, it wouldn't be possible. Not everybody has the, you need a minimum 7x5 room just for a snooker table. And at the Wanderers, we have 11 tables. So we're able to cater, 2 students per table. That's 22 young juniors that we can have at one go at the club. And when we do have coaching clinics, it's amazing. And the club is very helpful in terms of facilities, providing the amenities that is required. They look after the snooker section in terms of cloth, having the tables recovered regularly. The cloths are expensive, So it's without the clubs, snooker wouldn't. Many clubs have closed, yes, but they see the value in having the snooker section. Pretoria Country Club had 2 tables. They saw the value of adding more tables. They've got 5 tables. They're hosting pro snooker qualifiers now. There's a lot of youngsters that are playing. One of their youngsters, Faiz Mohammed, I think is his name, just recently last week participated in the WSF World Junior Championship, and he plays out of Pretoria Country Club.
Absolutely, and I actually had a chat with Charles yesterday, and we were talking about the importance of the clubs for the sport that we love so much. And his eyes lit up and he said, I play from the DS Club and I've played there my whole life.
Yes.
And that is literally since he started playing as a teenager. He's played from the DS Club, and it's a pride and joy for them. It's saying that I'm a Johannesburg boykie or I'm a Cape Town boykie.
Yes.
This is my club. They are so proud of it. So big thank you to all of the work that the clubs are doing as well. So it's a lot of fun, and getting them involved. And as you touched on there, I had Mr. Cuban Moodley on earlier in the match.
Yes.
And with regards to how these tournaments are put together, mini qualifiers, main qualifiers, and then if you win a main qualifier, you get access to this event.
Yes.
An entry basically to this event. And if there's any clubs out there, we need to find these tables.
Yes, you need to get involved.
If we can find the tables, we can get the participants, we can host a mini qualifier, and then have everyone there.
Exactly. All you need is one table to host a mini qualifier minimum 4 spread over 4 days or 2 days. It's imperative that we get more clubs involved. You're quite right. Quite right.
Absolutely. Mr. Rafiq Lambada, it's been absolutely great having you here in commentary, and a lot of fun exchanging all of these stories and trains of thought and watching these guys play. So massive thank you.
It's a pleasure.
We're going to excuse you because we know that you need to get back to the main table as well.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the hard work that you're doing with the youth in South Africa. It's the best thing that we can do to get a future world champ again. So all the best for that. Any closing thoughts from your side?
A big shout out to my sponsors. As a player, I played this tournament. I got knocked out in the quarterfinal by the man we see at the table at the moment, Charles Jonk. Camera is a bit too fast there, but I played Charles and I lost to him. A big thank you to United King of Pool Tables, my sponsor, UGB Corporation. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. All my other sponsors, Professional Tips, BP Moy Street. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate, and good luck to the two gentlemen at the table.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Rafiq. We're going to excuse you now. And thank you so much. And we'll definitely see you in here in the next event. And we have a couple of them coming. And there's a total of 5 this year that we'll be seeing through. And
pleasure. Thank you very, very much. Much appreciated. It's a real honor to be here, Werner. And you sterling job on this. Really. Thank you.
Thank you. So back to the action on the table, and we'll have another guest joining us shortly, Mr. Farad James, the president of Snooker and Billiards in South Africa. But first of all, let's have a look and see what is happening on the table. Charles Jonk is now in the lead. And he's just extending on that lead now, so 53 points to 16. But he's trailing in the frame count, 1-2. It is best out of 9, so a race to 5. Play with the first to 5 frames wins this final. But also, interestingly enough, it is 3.5 hours that this session is allocated for. When the viewers joined us from Cape Town TV, they missed the first half an hour, so 3 hours remaining. If there is a no set victor based on the first to 5, there's a couple of tournament rules that we're going to touch on shortly. And first of all, Mr. Farad James, he is the president of Snooker and Billiards in South Africa, joining me in the commentary booth. Farad, thank you.
Thank you, Werner. Thank you for having me here.
It's a great final that we're seeing. It's a close encounter, quite similar to what we saw in Gold Reef. And tense, but this is what sport's made for.
100%. It's proving to be a spectacular and very competitive final. It's similar to the one we had in Gold Reef City. Charles is certainly poised to clinch this frame and level matters at 2 each. I don't see Fakhri coming back from this necessarily, but in a game of snooker anything can happen.
I think this is quickly a time that we need to touch on to exactly what is happening here. As you can see, the score is currently 54 and 23 for Fakhri. So the points difference there is 31. At the moment, there's 25 points on the table.
27.
27 points on the table. So with those 27 points, the lead is more than that. So snooker is required currently for
Correct.
Fakhri. Now, what they did for this tournament is they set specific tournament rules. It's not set snooker rules, but it's just to make sure that we keep the matches going and entertaining for the viewers. If you require more than 2 snookers and there's no reds on the table, you as a player are asked to concede. It is not more than 2 snookers at the moment.
Well, currently Fakhri put Charles in a snooker. He failed to come out, made contact with the blue ball instead of the yellow, the previous shot, rendering a 5-point foul. It brought Fakhri well back into this frame, reduced the deficit to 26 points. Unfortunately, he left the yellow up and Charles now just spotted the yellow. Now snookers are definitely required with 28 difference and only 25 remaining on the table.
Absolutely. So green here. So again, some distance created there by Charles between the green and the cue ball. Fakhri still back at the table, and this is now where it gets technical. And if you understand the rules, it gets interesting as well. It's not just about the glamorous pots, it's about the technicalities as well, and this is exactly what we're seeing here. Cue ball behind the brown, not a shot on the on the green, so that is what we refer to as a safety.
Yeah, safety very much part of snooker. The name of the game is snooker, so yeah, it's we all like to watch flamboyance and potting and working the white ball around the table, but this is where the other part of the game that makes it very interesting. Fakhri requiring a snooker, he got it. Charles swerving the white ball, making contact with the ball on, which is the green, and effectively coming out of it snooker. Fakhri is gonna have to hide this green ball in a very tight position. He requires a snooker to get back into this frame.
Absolutely. So we'll probably, if we do see Charles potting the green, we'll probably see that that is the end of the frame then. But then, Mr. Farad James, you in your capacity joining us as the president of SA Snooker and Billiards, what is the plans for snooker? We had a discussion now with all of our guests, how excited we are to see the level of play increasing, the youngsters joining, the development that's ongoing, the work that the clubs are putting in, pro snooker, the involvement of all of the sponsors, but you from the body side, what is happening in snooker at the moment?
Well, amateur snooker in South Africa is very much on the go. Partnering with Pro Snooker as the development arm of Snooker and Billiards South Africa has proved to be exceeded our expectations, to be quite honest with you. They've created great awareness, getting TV coverage, live streaming on Facebook, and we've had a number of players, young, new and old players, getting back into the game. It's about creating awareness, getting the game back to the people. As far as Snooker and Billiards South Africa is concerned, our mandate and our plan of action as far as snooker is concerned in the country is maintaining league systems throughout the country in various province districts, and also hosting national tournaments. We would be having our South African Singles Championships in May from the 7th to the 15th. That is the National Singles Championship, the Classic Championship, and the Doubles Championship will be taking place in May, and that will be at the Wonders Club in Ilovo Centre. We also host the Masters Championship, which will take place at the Wonders as well in July, and the Interprobs that will take place at the Wonders in September. We have the Ladies Women's Championship in August as well, possibly in Cape Town. The venue is not confirmed. And when we get back from the snooker here in Durban, we will be hosting the Juniors Championship in March as well. So very much so is to create a platform. SEPSA creates a platform for players to join the clubs and play snooker in a league-based system, which enables them then to participate on the national level.
Just a quick one there, and before we carry on with the information there, beautiful shot being played there on the brown. Snooker off a couple of rails, making contact, greatly appreciated by the audience as well. So very nice shot there by Charles to get to that brown.
Yeah, Fakhri still requires a snooker. Charles did quite well to get out of the snooker, so 22 points left on the table. Fakhri still requiring only a single snooker with a 25 deficit. So if he manages to get a snooker on this brown ball, we have a game on.
Absolutely. Mr. Farad James, we are a very proud country. South Africans, we always vouch for our country, irrespective of what form of the game it is. Tell us, is there any players that we can see being featured on the international stage at some point soon? Anyone traveling, anyone partaking in any other major events that you're aware of?
Yes, well, there's an African qualifiers taking place, and that would be eligibility for the World Games, and that is taking place in March along with the IBSF World Championships. We have two players that will be representing us at the African qualifiers. That's namely our national head coach, Mr. Rafiq Lambada. Well, there we go. Frame conceded, so it's level matters at 2 each. So we'll have next month Mr. Rafiq Lambada and Mr. Richard Halliday participating in the African qualifiers. The winner there will represent our continent at the African World Games. Represent Africa at the World Games. So that is the big one coming up right now.
Absolutely, and just to put that into perspective for the viewers out there, the World Games is a massive event. It can be put on par with something like the Olympics. It is
Certainly,
major.
Barone, yes. It is major, and because it only happens once every 4 years, you've got to work pretty hard to get there. And with some of our players, and that goes with other athletes as well. You see it in the World Cup with soccer. You miss the World Cup, you've got to wait another 4 years, and you may not be at your peak. It's only a handful of people that have participated in successive World Cups. So the World Games is a similar stage for us as well, yeah.
Absolutely, and obviously from your perspective, with this event, we had 16 players join. First of all, we had some legends coming back. We had Warren Horsley, hasn't played in 10 years. Last time he played was in 2012.
Yes.
2022, 10 years later, he played again. First of all, that is great. Second of all, someone like Hamza Mohammed playing youngster and doing so well, beating a ranking player, Ricky. How does that make you feel from your perspective?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. Yes, we love the legends to come back in the game because they have a large audience and the names are known. Everybody knows Mr. Warren Horsley. For him to get back in the game, we're all eager to see what he can do on the table. And he did pretty well, mind you, picking up a cue a couple of weeks ago and saying, let me get back into this game. So he knows what's lying ahead for him to be at his best to participate at this level. Secondly, you mentioned Mr. Hamza Mohammed. I'm really proud of him because he is one of my players back at Central Gauteng Snooker Association in Johannesburg, and he comes from our Fordsburg club. And just to make mention, our Fordsburg club, we've seen Mr. Adil Ume at the Gold City installment there as well. They're producing some fantastic players. We have youngsters that are eager to play this game. And they're out there. They need to be introduced to the game. And the game of snooker is an absolute fantastic game from a mind point of view as well. So Hamza comes from our Fordsburg club, plays snooker in Johannesburg at Central Gauteng Snooker Association. So, yeah, him taking out some big scalps there was brilliant.
Absolutely, and that's a true testament to when someone's doing a good job. When you can see the legends coming back and new blood coming in.
100%. So pro snooker, as I've said before, has exceeded our expectations of what impact it would have on the general public in South Africa, and it's taken off in leaps and bounds, and they provide a very, very competitive and developmental platform for snooker in this country.
Absolutely, and we just saw the break off there, so they are busy with their fifth frame, and basically the trainer thought these players now is, I need to develop the reds, I need to keep the cue ball safe, I don't want to give my opponent a shot until I get an opportunity and then build that break.
That is correct. However, sometimes you've got to take a pot on, and Fakhri did that. He missed the ball on, and he actually left Shah with a very good opportunity to capitalize on his mistake. But as you see, we've just noticed Shah missing that pot, now presenting Fakhri with the opportunity. The pendulum sways in the other direction, and Fakhri now, whilst he's at the table, it's all about break building. It's all about maximizing the points you can achieve at one visit. And we all know Fakhri is very capable.
Absolutely, yeah. So we touched that briefly, and I think we might try and summarize that again just for any of the late viewers coming in to come and join us. Basically, this is snooker. There's 15 reds on the table. Each one of the reds awarded 1 point. Other colored balls, namely the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink, and black, specifically in that order, is awarded points, different points. The yellow 2 points, the green 3 points, brown 4, blue 5, pink 6, black 7. So if you pot a black, you have to pot another color to stay at the table. If you do stay at the table, you then pot a red again, followed by a color, red color, until all the reds are gone, and then you pot exactly as in that sequence we said, the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink, black, and that is the end of the frame. 147 points on offer without any fouls committed, and that is basically how you play the game of snooker. Would you agree with that?
I think you got it down. You've given the points breakdown. Basically, red color, red color. That is the mathematical side of the game as far as the points are awarded. But whilst you are playing a game, it's a tactical battle as well. And the difference to pool or 9-ball, 9-ball more or less, you potting the same ball as opposed to pool when you have your own choice of balls that you need to pot. So in snooker, the red ball is the ball on right now before getting to a color. So you got to pot it, you miss it, you can't roll it to the pocket because then your opponent would be in with the shove there as well. So very much a tactical battle, and I think besides potting, which is very nice to watch, I mean that's a game, you got to pot balls, but combined with an excellent white ball control. It's all about controlling that white ball, getting the perfect position to pot the next ball on.
Absolutely, and that ties in perfectly to what I was about to say. So we quickly covered the point allocation, and the viewers at home might then think, oh, the black ball, the most important ball on the table. That's not true. That white cue ball is the most important ball, and you'll see it. If you watch a great player,
100%.
They make it look easy. And the only reason why they make it look easy is because that cue ball is perfect every single time.
Yeah, that's you got it spot on there, Werner. And there you looked at the Fakhri unfortunately missing the previous shot, not leaving much for Charles. Charles opting to play his safety. Fakhri would go off the side of the pack with a bit of side, try to get the white ball behind the yellow or the brown ball. He caught it too thick, by the way.
Yeah, this is now a great opportunity. There's a little bit of a separation in the cluster of reds, and just the black is still tied up, but there's different color options, but the red is wide open. Question now is, Charles, yes, can he make the red? But next one, how does he get position on his next color?
I think he'll do a deep screw and go for the blue or the green. There we go. He would opt for the blue, lay high side of the blue. There's a deep screw in slow motion. Plays the cue ball right at the bottom to draw the cue ball back after contact, and getting perfect position on the blue ball. Soft roll on the blue. He's looking for the ball on, and the ball on would be the one just above the black if he can hold the white.
Yeah, it's that is the perfect example.
As we've said, the one just above the black is the red on, and now he's in good position. So he could go back up for the black. He doesn't really have the angle to free up the black in this shot. He'd probably go for deep screw off the side rail back onto the blue. There he does that. Deep screw off the side rail back onto the blue.
100%. So as we can see there, this is now a great example. Often it is talked about you have to get onto the right side of the object ball. Now, right, not literally the right-hand side. It can be right or left-hand side, but the correct side of the ball. So he's a little bit higher on this blue.
Yes,
but that is what he wants.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because if he laid low towards the what we call the black side of the cushion, it would be very difficult for him to get the cue ball, the white ball, in and out of bulk. He would have to go past the green and brown and come back into the reds. So effectively what you want to do is lay high towards the bulk end of the blue. So you just roll the blue and you back onto the red. So it makes your continuing the break much easier. So that's all. You always got to lay the high side bulk end of the blue to get the white back to the reds.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had Mr. Rafiq Lambada in here a short while ago, and he's the SA head coach, national head coach in snooker, and he'd agree that's probably one of the skills that you teach a youngster first. Is always think it's not just about now making this ball. Getting onto the right, it will get you perfect position, but important, get onto the right side of your next object ball, and that makes your next object ball a little bit easier.
Yeah, you know, Werner, that's it. When you look at this, one would think a player or snooker player is just going and he's got to pot the red, and then thereafter think what I'm going to pot. Fakhri and Charles and the rest of the players that played in this tournament think 3-4 balls ahead. They've plotted it in their mind. I'm going to pot this red, go for the blue. After that, I'm going to pot this specific red, then on the black, and they've plotted 3 or 4 shots ahead. So the game from a mental aspect, you continuously thinking, you memorizing the table, you know where the balls are lying, and you got to be aware of that all the time. So when you watch it, for the viewers out there, you may think, well, Fakhri is going to clip the one on the side of the black and run safe. Try and bring it behind the green, perhaps. If he can get there, he's catching the balls too thick. While he's got a good safety towards the green. The viewers may think, it's just go in, just pot a ball. But you've got to think, after I pot this red, I need a color. And after that color, we're getting back to the high side of the blue. I'm going to play for the blue, but I have to be high on the blue because I've got to get back to another red. And you're constantly thinking on how you're going to continue with the break.
Absolutely, and you'll also then quite often see, and then the viewer might think, oh, this guy needs glasses because that is a blatantly obvious pot that's on, but he doesn't take it, and that's exactly why. There's no color thereafter.
There's no color, so you may opt to go for a safety shot where you're in a better position. It's all about break building and clearing the table. So yeah, valid point there, Werner. Some say, why didn't he take that red? He looks at it and says, if I pot this red, am I going to get myself on a color? And the answer is no. He would then turn down the pot and rather play a safety, because what's the point of taking a red if you can't get a color? Very well spotted, yeah.
Yeah, it's the ideal situation for you as a player against your opponent, and had a little bit of a smile about it earlier on. Great tactic would be just keep your opponent in his seat.
That's the thing. Don't get him to the table. You see, when unlike other sports, and we mentioned this, when you're playing snooker, now Charlie's at the table. Fakhri has zero involvement. He has no control of what happens next. It's all in Charles' hands. Unlike soccer, when your opponent is in possession of the ball, you can go and tackle him. You have an involvement. Fakhri has no involvement in the game when his opponent's at the table. He can go and make 100 and Fakhri's done nothing wrong. Similarly, with Fakhri now at the table, Charles has to sit in his seat and watch. No involvement. So when you concede your position at the table, you have no involvement and you're just at the mercy of your opponent. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it also has a psychological impact as well. When you're sitting there and now your opponent comes to the table, and next minute he puts together 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 break, and all you can do is sit there and watch. First of all, your muscles get cold. You can't pace up and down. You have to be, it's a gentleman's sport. You have to have the decency, stay in your seat. Now you're getting cold, you're getting frustrated. It has that psychological impact as well, and that is why it just works. Can't win when he's in his seat.
That's correct. This is very much a psychological game as well. Mental aptitude, mental resilience is a big part of this game. You know, the sport psychology is important in this game. It's not just about the skill level. Is having the mental strength and ability, which is a huge part of this game. Fakhri rolled Charles into a snooker behind the brown, and the ball on is red. What would happen here? He missed the ball on. So Fakhri has two choices. He could play from where the white ball landed, or he can ask the ref to replace it. The ref would call a foul and a miss, meaning you foul, you miss the ball on, I can replace the ball and he's gonna have another go at it.
Absolutely, and then also the points allocated to your opponent when you commit a foul is also important, because yes, you can score points by potting balls, but you can also score points by snookering your opponent and forcing him to commit a foul.
Yeah, the value of a foul when the red ball is on is 4 points. So that would be a 4-point penalty for Charles. If he has to hit any other color, the foul the points penalty will be the value of the ball he hit on, with the exception of the red and the yellow, because yellow is 2 points, it will still be a 4-point penalty. Green 3 will still be a 4, and the brown 4. So if he had the blue, it's a 5-point penalty. Simple as that.
100%. So the viewers at home might also be thinking here, it took him 3 attempts to get to that red. There's a massive cluster of reds there. You can close my eyes, point me in the direction, and I'll run into one of those reds. But it's important, exactly the one that he played for. The reason being, he's left Fakhri with nothing.
That's a excellent point you make. And someone said, this guy is weak. I mean, there's so many reds. I could hit that. But valid point. He wants to hit the red without presenting Fakhri with an opportunity to score from that. So yeah, quite right. There's many reds, but I don't want to leave a red on. And Fakhri attempted a safety, and quite a strange one at that, presenting Charles with an opportunity on this red ball.
Absolutely. And we see Charles now taking full advantage of that, and this is basically how each and every single frame plays out. Is the first one to make a mistake, and if you can capitalize on that, you in it, and then you need to keep it. And that is where that break building becomes so important, that cue ball control, and just building on that break. As we said, the elusive 147, great honor to be able to have achieved a 147, and entertaining once you understand those rules. But we spoke about it a little bit earlier. Times are changing, and spoke to Warren also, who we mentioned a little bit earlier, after a 10-year break, coming back now, had a chat with him. It's so interesting to see that the current records that are out there now, we touched on it a little bit earlier. For example, the Ronnie O'Sullivan 1,000 centuries that he scored, broke that not too long ago. It keeps on adding to that. But I think we're in an era now where those records are just continuously going to be broken. There's a few that will remain in place because of competitiveness. For example, the Stephen Henry 7 world titles. The level of players increased so much that each and every tournament, chances are, will have a different champion. So that's probably going to last a while. But those records in terms of how many centuries in a tournament, those types of things, I think we're on the brink of seeing a change. People are going to get more aggressive because it's asked for on broadcasting. It's more entertaining to the viewer. So I think it's bound. Would you agree with that?
I think I would, Darren. I think that goes with all modern day sports. We live in an era, with the exception of sports, if you think of it, we want everything quicker, faster. We want the convenience, and that's no different with athletes. Athletes push themselves to limits that we haven't seen 10, 20 years ago. So yes, records would keep falling. Equipment that people use during in various sports. If you look at soccer, the ball has changed umpteen times. It's lighter, it's not that heavy. Snooker is no different. The cloth we play on has evolved. The balls we use, the G1 or 1G balls, are carefully measured, and they call 1G because of a 1 gram tolerance level with the balls. The old days, they played with crystallites, the cushions are meticulously fitted. So we live in an age where sportsmen have the ability, besides the mental capacity and not taking away their athleticism, they want to break records. We live in this age. We're going bigger, better, and those, quite right, those records will fall. Ronnie, I don't know, because has been made over a period of time. So it's going to take some feet in doing that. But nevertheless, I'm not surprised. It will be done eventually.
Absolutely. And just again, a perspective now from your side as the president of SA Snooker and Billiards. How proud does it make you to see a sport where the guys are always dressed meticulously, they behaved well? You will never in a snooker match see a guy throw a cue or swear and walk away. The match officials, always professionally dressed. They're certified. It's not just someone that decides, oh no, I understand the rules, I'll officiate this match. These guys are certified, and it's just that level of professionalism. In sport, most of the time you do find it, but snooker stands out.
I'm glad you brought it up, Werner, and I am inundated with requests, both on a district and provincial level, and mind you on the national level as well, with managers and administrators asking me, when are we going to relax the dress code? We watch TV snooker, the Ronnies in certain tournaments, they're playing golf shirts, they're playing without bow ties or tie, and we haven't relaxed it at this level. And it's important because the players look the part, they dress the part. It's without taking anything away from any other cue sport discipline, it's a gentleman's game, as you alluded to earlier. So this is the look of snooker. Everybody says, well, what do you play? You play snooker or you play pool. You say, no, I play snooker. You say, oh, is that you guys wear bow ties? It goes. That is the crux of the matter and the image of snooker that we, yes, certainly as SA Snooker and Berlin, South Africa, we preserve that image. It's like cricket and the test match. It remains. Various forms of the game have come in with 6 reds, which is a shorter game of snooker, and we allow golf shirts and dress down. You could equate that to the ODIs and now the T20s, but you still have the purists would tell you that the purest game of cricket is the test match, and snooker, what you're just looking at right now, and this is what snooker's about. So yes, we have opportunity to play 6 reds, dress down, bit of golf shirts and have a bit of fun. But this year is the game of snooker that we in South Africa have preserved the image of snooker, the demeanor of players. They know what's expected from them, and this is what we are witnessing right now.
Absolutely, and then I'll explain to you why I asked you this question a little bit earlier. We had, right at the start of the broadcast, we had Mr. Marius Bressler in, the head of operations of UGB Corporation, and I posed the question to him from a business perspective. You're looking at a sport where now, oh, that is very unlucky, that cue ball going down. Very unfortunate there for Charles.
Trying to get a safety, got an unlucky kiss in what we call an in-off. But it's been a bit of a scrappy frame, this, would you say, Werner? I think at 2 each, Kings are showing their armor. Somebody's got to settle down and they take the next frame. It's very, the following frame is very important in this title race. To make it 3-2, it's more than psychological advantage.
And it's also with that, the time limit that we've got on the session as well, it's now going to start playing its part as well. And so it's very important for the players to be aware of that. They don't have to now play according to that time, but at least be aware. You have 3.5 hours to win a match. You can't blame it because you still had a couple of shots left, but the clock ran out. So back to the question that I was posting to you, had Mr. Marius Bressler here from a business perspective, head of operations of UGB, and I asked him, with these guys, the professionalism and the production, and you can see everything is absolutely perfect and on point. As a business, was it easier for you to get involved with something like snooker? And without a doubt, he said yes. From businesses, it's so easy to get involved. And it's confirmation there, about an hour and 24 minutes that is left. So we definitely have a close game in store for us, and there may be some memories coming back from Grassroots City. But back to the point, Mr. Marius Bressler said, from a business perspective, absolutely makes it so much easier to get involved with a game like snooker, because I want to associate my business with something as professional as that.
Correct. It's a buy-in from corporate, and Fakhri trying to dislodge, sorry, I'm quite engrossed in this game, so Fakhri trying to pot the pink and dislodge the reds so he can continue his break. Unfortunately, just clipped it a bit fine, but quite correct. You as a company and a brand ambassador, what do you want to be associated with? We want to be associated with professionalism. We want to be associated with discipline. And yes, that's why we have many corporates wanting to buy in to snooker. They like the look of it, they like the professionalism, and I'm saying, as a business owner myself, I want my brand associated with this game. So yes, you're quite right that we have buy-in from corporates. However, every corporate wants to know how many viewers do I have, how much mileage will I get out of an advert in the arena, what is going to mean to me. I need my brand out there. So yes, Pro Snooker has done a fantastic job in branding and getting sponsors brand out there to the general public, and very good value for money in associating with Pro Snooker at the moment. Yes.
Absolutely, and then the second part as to why I asked you that question is we all want to get more players in. We want, if we can get 6,000 players in a province, why not make it 12,000 players? The more the better, because it's just going to grow the sport, it's going to grow in popularity. The best way to do that is if the mom says, should I do this and get my kid involved? Look at it. It is teaching your kid discipline, self-control, mental strength, physical strength. So many core concepts that is important life skills. We can achieve this. Snooker is a great example.
It is the elation of victory, it's agony of defeat, mental preparation. We want to get the kids out there and say, yes, there's time to sit on your PlayStation and play some PlayStation games, but get out there, get physical. It doesn't look very physically demanding, Werner. But we get to the club, play 4 hours of snooker. In 2 hours, I do my 10,000 steps, walking around this table, bending, stretching. So, not high intensity physical training. You're not going to get your heart rate up over 130 necessarily, but you're going to get a lot of exercise playing snooker. Very valuable stretching exercises and walking. Charles just trying to play safety there, I see, and try to cut the ball fine. Fakhri will bring his white behind the black.
And that could be a very costly miss there. Charles was at the table, getting quite close in terms of the points in this frame scored. 41 to Charles, 58 to Fakhri. It was 54 allocated for that foul on the red. So it was getting quite close, but unforced error there by Charles.
Well, he attempted a safety. I don't think there's much damage that he's done. Fakhri put him in tight snooker, and wow, he got up his snooker and got a bit fortunate perhaps. He does leave a red open to the center pocket. Got a bit fortunate there, but there is a red on the center pocket which Fakhri has just spotted. He lies onto straight onto the black. We will look at it, pot again into center pocket. Wonderfully executed. He hit that with absolute. He won't go for the pot here, I don't think. He'll roll him up behind the black. And that's exactly what he does. Now, for the viewers out there, said, why didn't he pot the black or the pink? Let's look at where the red lies. And he doesn't fancy himself getting on the red. Why take 7 points when I can put my opponent into a very tight snooker here? Charles now has to hit the ball on. And if he misses, the ref will continue calling a foul and a miss until snookers are required. So, opting for the correct shot, why take the 7 points he wouldn't have got into the red? Let me put my opponent into a tight snooker and let him have a go.
Absolutely, and what also makes this a good snooker is not just that it is the red. If it was just the red on its own, their chances are Charles would get that, and he does first occasion. But what made it good is the green is also involved. There's other balls that he can contact as well. It's one thing to snooker a player, it's another thing to snooker him where there's other balls where your object ball is.
Correct. He had a nice path to it, but in saying that, Charles made coming out of it snooker easy work. He made very light work of that. But this just shows his ability, the understanding of angles. And remember, it depends where you hit that white ball. If you hit it on the right hand side, it's going to deflect differently off the cushion. So Charles showing his experience and phenomenal ability to understand angles around this table. And he came out very well from that snooker. Places Fakhri in I think Fakhri can see that red on. He probably could see half a ball. And I think he's contemplating, if I can't hit this on the left hand side, it's a natural white in-off. So he did put a bit of side spin on it. He hit it on the opposite of the red to get the white ball back over here. So yeah, we have a nice duel. And this is also a lovely part of the game, Vern, not just potting. I love it. I love watching the safety battle. And with Fakhri 18 points ahead, with 35 available on the table, this frame is far from sealed. It's everything to play for, yeah.
Absolutely, and it's quite an interesting pace that we're being set at here. Both of these guys, Charles only lost one frame leading up to this final. Fakhri, not a single frame. Let me say that again, Fakhri did not drop a single frame leading up to this final. Here we are, it's frame number 5. Both of them have lost 2 more, so both have in total lost 3 frames leading up to this final and including the final. Frame number 5. And we have spent so much time in this match already. I remember the semi-final that we did with Fakhri and Jason. That was over in about an hour and 25 minutes.
That was a long one, yes.
We have exceeded this already. It's only frame number 5.
Mm-hmm. You see, the result of putting your opponent in snooker is not only necessary to gain points from the foul that he's committed, but you don't mind him hitting and coming out of a snooker. In this case, you don't mind him getting out of a snooker and hitting the ball on, hoping that he would leave it on for you to complete the frame. So he has, to a certain degree, left the red ball up for Fakhri. I think he will have a dip at it. He's got to go for it. 18 points. He's got to get this red off the table, because this red now is basically with 8 points, because the red and the black maximum points. He wants to pot this red and only then leaving 27 left on the table. That's important. He would fancy himself potting this.
Absolutely, and I just quickly want to bring that up again. Some tournament rules that have been brought in specific to this tournament. It doesn't necessarily apply to snooker. It is specific to this tournament. 1 snookers are required, so snookers, again, forcing your opponent to commit a foul so that you can score points from that. 1 snookers are required. If there's only 1 red left on the table, but you require more than 3 snookers, you are asked to forfeit your frame.
That's correct.
Or concede your frame. That is the correct word. However, if there's no reds left on the table and more than 2 snookers are required, you are then asked to concede. All the players have agreed leading up to this tournament that they will comply. So the referee will just step in and start getting the next frame ready.
Yeah, I think that's not the general rule of snooker. However, we do put rules in place because of time limits. A snooker frame can last 10 minutes, and in some cases a frame itself can go on for 60 minutes. I think Charles is looking to pot this ball. He's potted some nice long pots, Werner, and now he's not too happy about that. Fakhri needs to seize this opportunity, get this red ball off the table, and follow it up with the color. And well, both of them, they were so effortless in leading up to this final, but I suppose a bit of pressure, a bit of fatigue as well. It's a long weekend, a lot of snooker being played.
Absolutely, and that's again what we're referring to against the mental strength. This is exactly where this is coming in. Fakhri is handling this a little bit better than Charles is. Charles making no mistake of showing that he's frustrated at the moment. You can see in his expression, you can see in his body language, shake of the head.
I think that the previous shot, I wouldn't blame him for shaking the head. Fakhri went for the pot, didn't get a clean hit on it, and got Charles in the snooker. And before Fakhri went to his table, he lifted his hand in an apology to say, "I'm sorry, didn't mean that." But there we go. Fakhri potted the red on the pink. That will be 7 points. trying to get onto the yellow, and he's done exceptionally well to work that white. And I think this would be the end of the frame. At this visit, Charles wouldn't be coming back to the table. And we could safely say now that Fakhri would lead 3-2 in this encounter.
I'd absolutely agree with you there. Fakhri looks like he's going to go take a seat. Charles wearing his heart on his sleeve, as I say, I absolutely agree with you there. But definitely very big. I just opting to get the rest. That rest, just for interest's sake, putting in perspective how long this table is and how big this table is. If you just have a look at that rest and the length of Fakhri's arm.
And Fakhri has long arms, by the way. He has unusually long arms. I don't know, perhaps that's what makes him a good snooker player. I'm just kidding. But he still requires the rest. So
I'm sure you'd know, you are quite a tall man yourself. But yeah, it definitely helps. I wish, and we spoke about it earlier as well, if you could see this table in person. Most of the population and most of the South African citizens have seen a 7-foot table at some point in their life.
yeah.
So now, if you see this table in person, yes, on TV you can see it is bigger, but if you see it in person, it is immense. There's no other word for it.
It is. I was fortunate enough to have one of these at home for many years, and I had visitors coming across and say, "Wow, this is a big pool table." It's a huge pool table. I've got to tell you, it's a snooker table, but it's not very entertaining with guests around because it's very difficult to pot balls, and people get easily bored. Well, there we go. Fakhri takes the lead at 3 frames to 2. I think there's sufficient time left. What's it, Baron? It's probably just a bit over an hour left, and it's a race to 5.
I'll have some.
There's an hour and 13 minutes left, and that's Charles not happy. But what a gentleman around the table, Charles Young. An absolute superstar. He's a great ambassador for the sport, and so is Fakhri. Both fine gentlemen on and off the table. The demeanor that you witness here is no different to them off the table. They are real gentlemen, sportsmen, love the game, and always willing to talk about it and share ideas and share and coach you actually unofficially. So I know these two gentlemen very well. Fakhri, by the way, plays at Central Gauteng Snooker Association as well, and he's played there for many years. Very good friend of mine, and an excellent gentleman. He's a gentleman off the table as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Something that I wanted to add there, referring to these guys as gentlemen, which I absolutely agree with. How often you'll see, so you mentioned that raise of the hand as an apology when something goes your way that wasn't exactly planned. You make contact with...
Well, sorry, I shouldn't have giggled at that because I've never seen Fakhri do that in my entire life, Werner. Well, anyone for that matter, he missed the entire pack. So it's a foul 4, no harm done. He's been asked to play again. Yeah, and he now continue with that. I think just a lapse in concentration.
Absolutely. Yeah, so just quickly getting back to the point that I was making, the raising of the hand, but the other gesture, as gentlemen, the tapping of the table.
Tapping of the table with your cue, with your hand, indicates good shot. You know, so well played. Or if somebody pots, you go to the table like well potted, good shot. It's just, yes, a gesture to say appreciated. You played very well, and that's a continuous gesture you'd find around the table. People will compliment their opponent. Not, you know, now that you mentioned it, not very many sportsmen do that. In other, you're very slow to compliment or acknowledge your opponent in other sports. But in this one, opponent plays a good shot, you say good shot, tap on the table. If you flick a ball, yeah, commonplace to raise over hand to say my apologies. It's all part of the etiquette of the game.
It's again a great attribute that snooker has and snooker player has, is those things, and it's just great sportsmanship. And that's, again, as we explained, the tournament rules with snookers required. It would be asked of the player to then concede. It's just little things like that. These guys are gentlemen, but they're in it because we all have this passion for this game, and that's why the guys are happy to compliment when something great happens and acknowledge when something goes their way.
Definitely. Well, Fakhri is the first bite at it. He's now on a 6th break. Here's a ball. He's got the blue open. He may nick that red on his way through. And there again, Werner, he had to work this white ball. He didn't have a natural angle to the blue. So he tried to play deep and pull this ball on the side, which he's done effectively, by the way, but missing the pot. And I think fortunately for him, the white ball went in off, because Charles has got to play from what we call the D. And Charles was awarded 4 points for the foul.
Yeah, I think Charles would have also preferred that cue ball not to go down, go in off, would have left him with more of an opportunity for a shot closer to the reds, minding his work. That's what they refer to, mind your work, getting close as possible to your object ball. Would have been a little bit easier, unfortunately, but at least some points awarded there for the cue ball going down.
Yeah, I think he'd be upset with the shot by Charles. Fakhri is just looking to see if the black ball would pot into that pocket, because he has a red ball at the bottom right hand side of your pocket, in that corner pocket. Just looking to see, I wonder if that black ball pots into the left corner pocket. Depends how he plays it, and he probably think it does. And plays high, but very potable from this angle.
Yeah, not bad, because this is also going to assist him just to get, if he does miss, get the cue ball out of there, but plays it very softly, risky. Let's see what he's left Charles with.
He's left the black ball, he's left Charles with a... Charles could go with the red just to the second red below the pink into the left bottom pocket. He cuts in there, get the white ball around the table. You've got, that's the one. You've got choices of other colors. He's just got to make sure on the spot.
It's left to the middle now. The red is open to the middle. Almost got fortunate there, because the ball that is preferred, easier, hanging right over the pocket, is obstructed by another red.
But he's left a red to the center pocket. A very easy pot for Fakhri. I think he'll... I don't think he's going to make many mistakes going from there. Nudge of the brown, by the way, not bad. He's got choices of brown and green to get back up the table. Now, here again, we said earlier, Bernard, there's the black over the bag. And you say, but why didn't you pot the black? It's 7 points. The idea is to get on the other red and maximize your visit. So it's not only about taking 7 points. It's about potting a color and getting onto the next red so you can continue with the break, which is done very effectively, mind you.
Absolutely, and just also for the viewers, if we can maybe explain something else. Now, this color, the colors, they are important, and yes, the black is hanging right over the pocket. But hypothetically, if the black were to be tied up as well, the pink is currently tied up, the blue is out of position, how difficult is it then to build a break?
Players of Fakhri and Charles' caliber, they could make a break on the green and brown. They would get the white ball into this cluster of reds and open the pink up, you know, so it is difficult, but some players enjoy it. And in fact, players, if you got a black and open, he would now maximize his visit and just get that white ball playing the black. He wouldn't try and get the blue into play right now, it's too difficult, but at some point he's going to go into the spec and open that pink up. He would go into the pack, open the pink, but for now he's got the black on the spot. He's just going to try and pot the blacks here, but it is difficult. You're quite right, Werner. It's all about the white ball control.
And obviously for the viewers then, they'd be of opinion, why not just, from the break off, bang into those reds, get them all over the table, and then just go for it. Maybe you get lucky and get one off the break, but maybe that works. Why is that not the general approach?
You may not believe me, but I'll be honest with you. it makes the game even more difficult, because the idea, as you've alluded to earlier, is having the color balls accessible to pot. Now, if you go and just bust the pack open, you've got red balls all over. They may obstruct pockets. They may obstruct color balls from being potted, and you have more control in picking one off if they're in a cluster. You don't want the red balls all over. You're quite right. When I first played snooker, I said, let me just bust this pack open and all the reds, and it's easier. It's actually, funny enough, a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely, and it would make sense because there's so much travel that you might have to do with the cue ball. Now you have obstructions all over the place. It makes that cue ball control so difficult. It is already really difficult.
100% of the money, yes.
But now you need to not only hit gaps, but you need to miss reds all over the show as well.
Yeah, Fakhri, I think, seized that opportunity, and we said that earlier, he dislodged the pink. Now he has the pink into the center and the corner, both center pockets and corner. He will continue his break. He's already on a 43. And he would like to seal it at this visit. He's already got a sizable lead.
And quite interestingly, when we sat down together, right at the start, it was the start of the fifth frame, scores were 2-2. You said very important frame with first to 5. Fakhri has now gone 3-2 up. They are now playing the next frame, but it looks like there's a slight momentum shift. Fakhri's feeling good. Charles is under pressure. Time is now of the essence. If he can win this, make it 4. He's what's referred to on the hill, and he can close it off in the next frame. But Charles knows, I need to win 3 in a row.
Correct. You know, I don't know if it's a psychological thing, but first to 5, the third frame is is the closest to the fifth. It's the middle frame. So once you got 3 frames, you're 1 away from being 1 frame away from victory, and your opponent now knows that, and he's got to work harder. So this getting 3 frames on the board in the race to 5 is absolutely vital psychologically, absolutely vital. And yeah, Fakhri sees that opportunity. He's 61, plays 8, and Charles has a mountain to climb.
Very difficult shot, and even more so on this Waraka table. Very tough to make these long pots, especially down the rail. Can be done, but pinpoint, and absolutely pinpoint accuracy required.
Yeah, there's a difference of 53, and there's 67 points available on the table. So, wow, there was. Fakhri just potted the 1 red. Now there's only 59 points left on the table. Sensible snooker. Fakhri putting him in the snooker, knowing that he's sitting in the driving seat and well in control of this frame.
Absolutely, he's now needing to not only get back into this frame, but needs this to just get a bit of momentum back on his side, and that is probably the worst possible position to try and do it from.
Yeah, it's very easy for Charles to hit the red. It's not a difficult shot, but it does not want to leave Fakhri up. I think he just may have fallen short.
So as well, you can see the match official has gotten involved. He needs to have a look at that.
He has in fact fallen short by probably a millimeter there, so the ref would then call a foul and a miss and replace the white ball back in its original position.
And once again we have that situation to see exactly as to, again, 4 reds, they there, the pink is involved, but if I go in this general direction I should hit it. Chances are if you do that, you've now split open the 4 difficult reds, and it's now game over in essence.
Correct. Fakhri's 58 points ahead. There's 59 points on the table. Wow, he's missing on the opposite side. 6-point foul. Now snookers are required.
Tournament rule does not apply here.
Well, not quite yet, but Fakhri has a red ball on. And that would spell the end of this frame as well, with Fakhri with a healthy lead. This frame is done for.
Absolutely. So again, this is just another, maybe a little bit of a mind game. Fakhri could in essence just hit any ball, not worry about the pot, and again, Charles would then concede and they'd start the next frame.
Correct. There's only 51 left on the table. There's 72 ahead, and yeah, Charles would concede. Yes, yeah, which he had done now.
But the reason why Fakhri carried on and actually cared about that pot is the longer your opponent stays in his seat, he now sits and watches you play. His muscles get cold. He gets frustrated. He's watching you build another break. That mental aspect, it does its thing.
It does. In snooker, when we play and you're at the table often, you build a momentum. You build the muscle memory. You're at the table. It's an old saying. Say the guy's sitting in his seat and he's cold, but not only cold physically or his muscles cold, mentally he's cold. He hasn't been thinking at the table. He hasn't been applying his mind because he's just been sitting in his seat. So when you're at the table, you can see the focus, and it's a mind game as well. So your mind is working, your body's working, your heart, you're going. Yeah, you want to keep your opponent sitting cold in his chair.
Certainly, we see a couple of replay shots here, and it's such a precision game. And as we can see there, a couple of shots being played by Fakhri, and as we noticed there, he's staying down for as long as possible. The reason for that being?
Well, when you addressing the white ball and you're making contact, when you stay down, there's no room for error in the delivery or the white ball making contact with it. You do not want to jerk your head. It will you won't make proper contact with the white and you'd miss a pot. It's like a golfer and you teeing off. You would stand dead still, eyes on that white ball. After you've hit that white, you're still looking at where that the golf ball, you're still looking at where it was. You don't look at where it's going. Only thereafter you lift your head. And similarly with snooker, you will address, stay dead straight, make contact with the white ball, wait for the white to make contact with the object ball before you even lift your head, ensuring a smooth cue action. And that's what it's all about, a smooth cue action, dead straight on the deliverance of any shot.
And that applies to all cue sport, not just snooker, obviously.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah.
But also the important factor is when you're watching that cue ball moving subconsciously, your brain is taking notes of what it's doing. Now you've made a mistake. If you get up and you now start walking and you think, oh, okay, I've got this, meantime you've missed it, but you're already halfway up moving to your next shot, you're not giving your brain an opportunity to actually pay attention to what I did wrong there.
Yeah, that is the psychological part of it. You'd see Fakhri would stay down until he's completed his stroke. White ball made contact with the object ball. In most cases, snooker players will stay down until he's spotted the ball.
And Charles' reaction there is definitely not happy with something to do with his stroke.
Similar scenario in Golden City, by the way, and Charles has shown such great resilience. The mental strength that he displayed at the Gold City installment of Pro Snooker was absolutely phenomenal. He was behind as well, came back, level matters, and fantastic display of mental strength.
Absolutely, and that was two very entertaining shots that he played. The first one was a slight swerve, and thereafter, and it's always my favorite shot, that long black.
The long black. We look at a fantastic, you see Fakhri just potting along. I cannot believe he missed that black. I was just referring to the red he potted. He had a bit of a smile to himself. He got a lucky snooker. You looked at the gesture, hand up and saying, my apologies. Fakhri potted a phenomenal red. and Mr. Relatively easy black. However, no harm done. Didn't cause much damage. Got fortunate in not leaving Charles up on the red, but.
Yeah, we've seen this a couple of times over the course of the weekend, and I think that's again just a testimony to again that mental strength and match fitness. Someone playing a beautiful shot and pulling off, and it looks great in camera, and then getting to one that looks quite simple and completely missing it. It's just down to that concentration and not playing every ball on exactly the same merit.
Correct. We're looking at the shot of Fakhri, and the viewers at home is saying he didn't hit a red ball. Now what actually happens, the ref called touching ball. The white ball was touching a red ball. That means you've already made contact, and the ref would then say touching ball, which will allow you now to shoot away from the red, and you wouldn't have to make contact with the red ball, which is a ball on, because you're already in contact with it. So Fakhri then played away. Even if he hit the black, it doesn't matter. The ref says touching ball, he can hit away, because the white ball is already in contact with the ball on.
That's a great explanation there. What would then happen if you were to decide that, no, I'm rather going to play into that red than I am touching?
That's a very good question. You cannot, in fact, if you played into the red you're touching, it will be called a foul. You have to play away from a touching ball. You cannot, because it will be a push shot. The ball is already touching. So it would be a foul. You cannot play, you got to play away from the touching ball. In fact, Werner, the ball that is touching cannot move, should not move. If you hit that ball that's touching, it's a foul. You have to play away. You cannot hit the ball.
So that's just some of the interesting technicalities coming into this game, and hopefully, I mean, we have a total of 5 events this year for the UGB Masters, specifically snooker, and we'll be joining in commentary every single time, and every now and then we'll touch on some of these things and bring up a couple of interesting points and a little bit more technical explanations of things, and hopefully by the end we'll have a public that is knowledgeable about everything in snooker.
Yeah, there with every sport there's a few little technicalities. I say, guys, get involved in snooker. All you have to do is pot a red and pot a black and get points on the board, and then we get involved in the technical aspects thereafter. And as you start playing, you start learning the little technicalities. But yeah, it's not a difficult game. From a technical point of view, very easy. It's a difficult game perhaps from a skill point of view, but I've seen youngsters 10, 12, 9 years old taking a cue, leaning over table and potting balls. It's fairly straightforward. Take your cue ball, hit this red, pot it and get a color. That's all you got to do. I think the ref called touching. You notice there he hit away as well. He's not allowed to move the red that it was touching.
And right, just some thoughts with regards to some of the new stuff that you now start seeing coming in. We have Mark Williams, for example. Mark Williams, a loved player from all over the world. He is from the UK. Mark Williams, a great personality. Now sometimes hits the reds from the back and leaves the cue ball frozen there. Something that's not been seen, something that's not been thought of. It's now something new, and then all of a sudden other players were doing it.
Yeah, one of funny you mentioned Mark Williams. Yeah, one of my favorite players, quite a character. And, yes, so you were referring to the break off. Conventionally, you would, when you break off, you would hit the side of the pack and bring the white ball between the pink and blue and back up into the bowl. He does. He goes and hits the pack from behind and leaves the white nestling behind, and giving an opponent less of an opportunity to attack, because if you do the conventional break you may leave a red on, and the caliber of players, they don't wait for second chances, they are very attacking. So he does that not to leave one, but it backfired in one of his frames. He actually hit the pack from behind a little bit too hard and a red popped out, and yeah, he left the guy with an easy pot. I don't think he does that anymore.
Beautiful
since
shot
then.
being played there by Charles there. Very long red, nicely played, and played it at perfect pace, leaving himself nice position onto the blue.
See, there again, he's high on the blue, Werner, so it gives him an easy opportunity to get back down to the reds. He may have left himself a bit of a tricky shot here. He's got the one on the rail. He's not happy with that.
You can see just a slight shake of the head there by Charles. At least he still left himself with the shot. And also, one would say, perfect shot would be every single shot I need to be perfectly straight.
One, actually, funny enough, it's the opposite. You do not want to be straight on the ball because it doesn't give you an angle to maneuver the white. So he wants to either, on a pot, you don't want to lay straight on because you're unable to maneuver your white off the cushions and with side. So you want to either lay with, you got to cut the ball in. You do not want to be perfectly straight, funny enough, in this game. And somebody say, what a beautiful shot, he's laid straight on the ball. He doesn't want to. He'll leave himself deliberately with an angle to cut. The reason for that, he would now be able to pot this red or the other red into that corner, into the top corner pocket, and well, he'll have to go on the bottom left-hand corner here, but give himself an opportunity to play the white ball at the bottom bit of right-hand sides to come around the black.
So that was the point that I wanted you to make is straight shot, yes, it might look nice and it might make the actual shot easier.
There we go.
Sometimes.
Right inside, he comes right around the back, straight on the pink, yes.
But not always, but leaving yourself an angle so you can get onto your next object ball. Try and make that as easy as possible so that you can carry on and build your break.
Break building shots, that's correct. You'll see sometimes, it happens to all of us, you lay dead straight on the break and then you shake your, it's a shake of a head and I'm upset. And for the viewers, what's he upset about? He's perfect, he's straight on the black. You don't really want to be straight. You want to give yourself a bit of an angle,
Very aggressive there. Wanted to avoid contact with that blue. Now left himself on completely the opposite end of the table. He wanted to go back into bulk and then out of bulk. And
you may be able to go for this bottom red, a pot to nothing, as we say, pot in the bottom left-hand corner, right-hand corner, and bring the white up to bulk. But he's pulled out of a fantastic safety here, Werner. I think you see Fakhri had a touch of the cue on the rail saying good shot. Or gesturing good shots, how we say.
Absolutely, and again, this is now exactly as you explained there, the shot to nothing. He cared less about the pot and more about where the cue ball's going to go. Because if it drops, maybe he's on a color. But if it doesn't drop, if he leaves it on, that's a problem.
I got the cue ball in a safe position. Sometimes you take a dip at the red, as we say, dip at the red, go for the pot. If I miss, it's fine. I got the white ball safe. If I pot it, I can take one of the bulk colors. So we're going to have these two engaging in a safety battle, unless someone's brave enough to take on the long pot. And I think Fakhri, I wonder if he'll take this long pot on and try and hold screw for the pink. He went for it. He did bring the white ball back.
Is this red going to end up now?
Very safe position. I don't think Charles would take that on at all. If anything, he would try and get the white ball safe, unless he feels the pressure to take that on. I doubt that very much. There we go. He'd rather play it on the left-hand side, put the white ball back safe.
There we go. So obviously you have played snooker yourself for quite a while as well. In a situation like this, we are getting very close to something very similar that we saw at Gold Reef City, which was an exhilarating final to watch. Charles currently in the lead. It is only by 11 points, but this is to claw one back. Do you think it's now starting to come back into the memory of Fakhri, who is on the losing end, Charles, who's on the winning end? Maybe we can have a repeat.
A very valid point. I wouldn't put it past him, because we as humans, as you've alluded to earlier on, you think about your mistakes, you learn from it, and that loss and the defeat is very much fresh in Fakhri's mind. So I wouldn't think that it wouldn't be possible that it does go through Fakhri's mind, saying, I do not want to repeat. I was in a similar position and I don't want to repeat of Gold Reef City. But he needs to pace himself and not rush it. And unfortunately for him, he missed the pot in presenting Charles with an opportunity.
It was a very good attempt at a very difficult shot, but that rattled, and unfortunately didn't work out, but left Charles on.
Yeah, well, Charles 12 points ahead. He's still on the break. What's a fantastic pink. He needs to get a bit fortunate here. Hope he lays on the red on. And he's got a bit unlucky, Werner. He's going to take this red on. It's a very, very difficult shot to take on.
That is interesting, and that is a very good shot.
Excellent shot.
And Mr. Flood, you can elaborate as to why, but you just saw the position of his hand there, and that is exactly what made the shot difficult.
Awkward cueing, yes. Awkward cueing and having to play the white ball right at the bottom and digging into the white ball and getting the pot. So I think when your bridge hand is a bit handicapped, your bridge hand generally needs to be flat on the table. So when you're handicapped and cueing over balls, it makes it very difficult to get control of the white ball, much less proper contact of the object ball as well in potting it. But he made light work of that.
Absolutely made that look easy. And then the other part of it is, not only is that hand doesn't need to be perfectly stable, but it's awkward, you're not used to it, but now you jacking up the back of the cue as well. That plays a part.
Yeah, very unconventional shot. So we used to our hand flat on the table. Well, I'll tell you something, Werner. Charles has an excellent opportunity to seal this frame and put pressure on Fakhri in the next. He'll roll this, stun this one up. There's a red that goes, roll this through, and he's back on the black, and all of a sudden he's on a 23 break but 34 points ahead in this frame. He'll probably play, if he has the angle, stun this for the black. He stuns it onto the black again, and it moves his break on to 24. There's a red on at the bottom of the pack. I wonder if he'll opt to go into the pack at this visit. No, not necessary, because in snooker, take the reds on. There's no it's not necessary to be aggressive, because the red at the bottom of the pack goes, and by potting this, he will dislodge the two reds above it and possibly the pink as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's knowing exactly when to go for it and when not to. And Charles showing the perfect example to do that.
There he goes. He dislodges, bring another 2-3 reds into play.
So on 60 already, the difference is a 50, so Charles the strong favourite for this frame.
And this red would all but seal this frame. And there is 51 points ahead with the 50 break. He's on a color and there's only 51 points left on the table, but with the pot on this black, this would be frame sealed for Charles, and Fakhri would require snookers.
That's it. So we're going to say a big thank you to Mr. Farad James for joining us. He is the president of SA Snooker and Billiards. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's always great fun. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the final, but go grab a seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Werner. Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And returning once again, my partner in crime, Alison Sibanda. Alison, you've been sitting in the venue, right on the action, and Farad and I have been having a chat. How similar does this look to Gold Reef City?
It's like deja vu. It's like a proper deja vu. And it's heading there because you can see this is a very tightly contested final. And I think it's befitting for a final to be this way. I would hate to have a final that's one-sided, you know. To win a final, you have to fight for it.
Absolutely. And Fakhri, in this event during the course of this weekend, not dropping a single frame. He's won each and every single match 5-0, 5-0, and ends up in the final. The very first frame, Charles takes it, so it gives him his first frame defeat in the whole event. And this is now quite a close encounter, and I think if we asked anyone, no one would have wanted a thrashing by either of them.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's quite an impressive run that he has had. He's actually had the best run in comparison to everyone else, and deservedly he's in the final. But he got a taste of what it is to lose a frame in this Pro Snooker event, UGB Masters. Nice to see the sponsors in the house, the main sponsors, the CEO of UGB, Derek Holly himself.
Yeah, it's great to see them, and we had Marius join us as well, the head of operations. You can see that is the end of the frame. So yeah, great having him in here. Shared a couple of thoughts with regards to what UGB is doing and how much they mean to the players and people that have a passion for the sport, making it accessible for players to compete on world-class equipment. So a big thank you to them, but even more so for giving us this event. If it wasn't for UGB, we wouldn't have been able to have this event and see the action. And how great is it now that we can start seeing snooker back on South African television?
Yo, it's really an experience that people find hard to believe, you know, not only on TV, but the fact that it's just live as it happened, you know. Catching replays like we're seeing now makes it feel like we're somewhere else overseas, you know. It's an international event, so kudos to everyone that is involved in securing sponsorships and the monies that have been spent to help everyone to enjoy this type of sport.
Yeah, it's absolutely great to watch. We see a couple of highlights throughout this match. Nice little shot being played here, as explained by Farad James, just dislodging a few balls, intentionally so, slowly developing them. And it's just been absolutely great having all of these guests join us as well, each of them bringing their own component to the commentary. And definitely looking forward to what's going to happen next. There's a total of 5 events for this year. The last one we had was in December. It's now 2022. So we are now in Feb. We've had the first one, and looking forward to the remainder of them throughout the year, as these past events are just a true testament that we are going places and the snooker is back on track where it should be and having a good time. So just quickly, to continue following the action, please head over to 360sport.co.za. You can see it on your screen there to continue watching this final. It is for all the Cape Town TV viewers. We will be changing in the schedule quite soon, but if you wish to continue watching this final, please head over to 360sport.co.za and continue following along with the action. It's definitely still a lot in store. It is the final, and thank you to everyone for joining us on Cape Town TV.
Yes, and I mean, if you want to catch the rest of this final, including the award ceremony, which is very important, be sure to follow www.360sports.co.za.
So we have the start of the 8th frame. Scores currently 3-4. Fakhri had a 2-frame lead. Charles now clawed 1 back, so he's now back within 1. He wants to get this frame over and done with as quickly as possible and get back to 4-4. The rules has stipulated if at the end of the session, at the end of the 3.5 hours allocated, then it definitely gets interesting, because if, for example, we had to run out of time as it stands right this very second, Fakhri would win.
Yeah, it would place him in good stead. It'll probably be the second match that's decided by time in this particular event, right? The only one that we had was between Tariq Samsodian and Jaden Nobin.
Absolutely. So one would ask, but Charles is 16 points to 0 ahead in this frame. The tournament rules explicitly stipulate that if you are ahead in a frame count, you would then win. However, if the score in the frame count was 4-4, Charles would win, because then they look at the actual points scored in total for that frame. If it was 16-16 and 4-4, then they would look at the highest break being scored. And if that is also tied, then they would look at the second highest break to determine the winner. So by that point, chances that you've scored the highest break at the same number of points, highly unlikely, but they have covered that. So that is what happens if we do reach the end of the 3.5 hours, which is exactly what happened in Gold Reef City. But over here, still a possibility. If Fakhri can win this frame, that will see the end of the match, and he will be crowned the UGB Masters champion for this event.
Yes, most definitely. But we've got just over 36 minutes to conclude this tie here. Just to remind folks watching at home from actually on Cape Town TV that we are going to be cutting off and only available on www.360sports.co.za. So to continue watching the conclusion of this match and the award ceremony as well, you need to go to that 360 Sports website.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll probably see Fakhri doing his best here to prevent Charles from getting in at all, because anything can happen. He's already in the lead in terms of points here. So Charles will do his level best to now get into a nice break and try and secure this frame as quickly as possible. That would take the points to 4-4, but no easy shots to get him in there at the moment.
Yeah, Charles refusing to die. If Die Hard was a person, then right now it would certainly be Charles. And I think based on the belief that he did it at the Gold Reef City, he knows that he can still do it again. So yeah, we are certainly bracing ourselves for a grand showdown at the end of this match.
Yeah, Fakhri was a great shot there now to get him on the scoreboard in this 8th frame. Good shot here, but again, not an easy color to follow, but is on the black. But quite a tough shot with the cue ball as close as it is to the rail. Again, rather deciding to opt to play safe, because if he went to go play at that black, could have left Charles with an easy red if he misses the black.
Obviously don't want to expose yourself. He needs to make sure that Charles doesn't run away with this frame. So it's obviously an important frame. All frames are important, but I guess this one is extremely important because for Charles it's a lifeline if he manages to draw level, and for Fakhri it's obviously victory.
Now we see there Charles attempted a long pot, extremely difficult shot to play, especially on those rocket tables. They are tighter than your standard table because we're trying to create a world-class environment. A beautiful shot being played there by Fakhri to the corner pocket, and he's nicely onto the black. And leading up to some of the matches, I had quite a few chats with the players, and Fakhri saying that his strong suit is, I normally don't back off from an opportunity. If I can go for that red and I'm guaranteed to be on a color, chances are I'm going to go for it. And that's what makes Fakhri such an exciting player. Charles as well, a very aggressive player, but Fakhri just a little bit more aggression shown at times.
Definitely, there's no doubt. He never, I rarely see him backing off from a challenge. I think it excites him to take on some of these shots because there's no other way than to prove by doing it. So folks, continue watching. Visit www.360sport.co.za for you to watch the conclusion of this grand finale and also the awards ceremony.
So nice break being developed here by Fakhri. He's now taken the lead. He can extend it even further because he is nicely on the black. But important, again, getting position on his next red. Screwed that back. Avoided the red, and he's nicely onto his next red to the bottom left-hand side of your screen. And he'll try and maintain this for as long as possible. His break currently on 24. Nicely played. And this is basically the strategy behind break building. Is the ideal would be red and then back onto black. Let's see Charles looking on. Not easy for him to sit in his chair and watch Fakhri extend his lead. Whereas again, if this frame is won, that'll be the match.
Fakhri very good on the wrist. Very good on the wrist, and don't know how he didn't get that, but it brings back Charles to the table. Points currently 33 for Fakhri and 17 for Charles. I will leave you in the capable hands of my partner here in crime as we get ready for other proceedings.
Thanks, Alison, for joining me once again in the commentary booth. It's always exciting to have you all join me. So we'll go carry on. Nice opportunity here for Charles. Potting the black, so 25 points will be his score. He's now trailing only by 8. This is a crucial visit, most important one of the match thus far for Charles. Cannot afford any mistakes here. If he brings Fakhri back to the table with an opportunity, chances are Fakhri could clean up and then lock him out of this match. So he's playing to even out the scores here, so very tough for him. Points difference now down to 7, so this is to even them out. The black is valued at a total of 7 points, so this will even up the scores, 33 apiece. It's also nicely nudged a red back out into the open. Be a little bit harder to hold position for the black if he plays to the red, just to the right of the cue ball. The red now at the bottom of the screen, as you can see it there. Be quite tough. I'll probably opt to play for another color, not try and hold it for the black, so probably for the blue or the green. It does make this. Oof, a lot of side being applied there by Charles, but he's now complicated this black quite a bit. And this is not what he wanted. He wanted, unless, yeah, that's true. You can take the pink to the middle. It's a little bit of a deceiving angle. Not sure if we can actually see if you can see that pink. Doesn't look like it. Just a quick squiz at that. Probably means he's going to need to go for the red. Just having a look there. So chances are he might not have a shot. And if he does, not an easy one to the middle pocket. Very tough. Charles rather opting to go for the rest on the black. Again, just a very tough shot. This is not what Charles would have wanted. Would have maybe recommended he go for position either to the green and the blue and then try and get back at the table. But luckily not leaving anything on for Fakhri here, and he's now closed off one of the pockets. Charles 1 point ahead, but Fakhri at the table. So good safety needed here by Fakhri, and that will give him an opportunity to maybe take advantage and claw back on that lead, because if he wins this frame, he'll win the title. However, if Charles wins, scores will go to 4-4, and chances are that we might have a decider or run out of time. So it will be a very exciting frame to watch. Or try and get some confirmation as to exactly how much time is left. Nice safety being played there by Charles. Fakhri at the table, can't see any of the reds. Not too difficult to make contact, and also with the black there, now basically cut off the right hand side of the table for the reds there. So he'll bear that in mind, as long as he doesn't leave a shot on any of the other reds. But I'm sure Fakhri will back himself to make this. Nicely played there. Contact has been made. No shot been left apart from a very long red, which I doubt Charles will take on. Might be considering this, seeing that the black is right in the pocket, and chances that he'll leave that red on if he keeps the cue ball down here. Makes it beautifully played, and now nicely onto the black. So great shot being played there by Charles, and bearing in mind, took all of those factors into equation. Will I be on a color next? Where will the cue ball be? If it misses, where will it end up, and will I leave that ball on? Charles, taking a percentage shot, decided it was worth the risk and played it. So very nicely done there by Charles, and now extending his lead. Wants a reaction from the cue ball, wanted more of a reaction, but still on the red, but this is difficult. Also bearing in mind, looking at the pink, there's two reds tied up along with that pink. Beautiful shot. That is great class being shown by Charles here. There's a lot of pressure on his. Lead's currently at 10, but after the shot he'd now need to consider opening the two reds and the pink. There's an opportunity to do that with the blue to the middle. Rather opting to go safe. It is safe enough with the green being so close. I don't think Fakhri can play in between the green and the brown to get into contact with one of the reds. So he's created. Oh no, Charles Jackson says it all. He can get through. Was a great opportunity for Charles to get some points through fouls. Will make life very difficult for Fakhri, because that would have been a good snooker. He got in nicely behind the green. The brown was there, blocking off angles as well. Just eliminating options, and that is what would have made it a good safety. Beautiful shot there, cuts to the corner pocket. Will he be on a colour? Wouldn't really mind if he's not. Again, can attempt another safety here. So will he leave it, the cue ball just behind the brown? And there we go. So again, as we explained, so the position of where the brown is eliminating angles to the left hand side of your screen, and so is the green and the blue. So 3 balls in play here, eliminating angles for Fakhri to get position and make contact with the red. So we might see a foul here, but however, he can play straight down, 1 rail, back up the table and make contact with the red, but chances are he's going to leave the red on afterwards. He's missed it. And missed again, so that will be a foul. And he's left it on, so interesting to see if Charles going to take on the shot. That's going to be quite tough. Lead is currently 15, and not sure if the 4 points have been added yet. I believe it has. So Charles taking on the shot, so nice safety being played here. This is a tricky shot. What a shot being played there by Charles. He'll feel good about that. You can see he got up and told himself subconsciously, that is it. We are getting there. So just need a couple of more points to freeze out Fakhri from this frame to make it 4-all. We'll get some confirmation as to what the time is that is remaining in the session, because it's getting quite close now. You should have around about 15 to 20 minutes left in this session. However, the match officials will have the exact time. So not a lot of time left here, and chances are we could either see end of 15 minutes. If Charles is unable to conclude this frame, that Fakhri will win. If not, we definitely in for some action based on what's going to happen in the 9th and final frame. Asking the match official to please put the cue ball back in its position. So we have confirmation, 15 minutes remaining. That is not a lot of time, ladies and gents. This match has not, or this frame rather, has not even been concluded yet. And this is getting very close to what we saw in Gold Reef City. Fakhri will want this as much as possible, because Charles took the last one. 20 points the difference at the moment, 53 to 33. 27 points on the table. Charles gesturing with his hand, returning the safety. Can he see it? Looked like he was wiping his forehead there, so not sure if he's got a shot here or not. See the cue action of Charles there. It remains very quiet and still with his body. Basically just the joint in his elbow. You can see him there getting very animated, almost ending up behind the green, and that would have been horrible, wiping the forehead. So great opportunity once again here. There we go, so he should make it 4-4 from here. Brown goes down, holding it nicely for the blue. Blue valued at 5 points, so should take it to 67. There we go. That is it. So that won't take long of the match. That is the end of the match. Ladies and gents, make yourself ready. This is absolutely brilliant. It is the final 9 frames to be played. Best of 5, 3.5 hour limit. We may have about 13 minutes left. Players have been instructed that the referee will not speed up what he does. The referees are trained to do what they do at precision, and that is why they will do that at normal pace. So you won't see referees running after balls, but you might see players running around the table depending on points and whose favor it is in. So just to give you an example, as the scoreboard says, I know it's 0-0, but if right at this very second we had to run out of time, they would look at who has the highest break. The reason for that being, frame count is on 4-4. The points scored in this frame is on 0-0. So it is completely tied, so they would look at the highest break. So at the moment, we can try and confirm who has the highest break. Could be either one of the two players, but we'll just get some confirmation as to who has the highest break right this moment. So we are about to get the next frame underway. It is the 9th and final frame. We have about 12 minutes more or less left. You can see the head referee, Mr. Andre de Toy, standing in the back there right next to the trophy. Mr. Stefan Steenkamp just to the left of the trophy. Safety being played there by Fakhri. Has the 1 point advantage at the moment. Nice response there, but has left some options here for Fakhri. Doubt that he's going to take it on. He'll probably just take that cue ball, put it back safely again. He does have the 1 point advantage, can't take any unnecessary risks. You can see Mr. Cuban Moodley there in the background. Charles has scored the highest break in the event thus far. It was a break of 93. Fakhri's highest break is in the 80s. I believe it's 81. attempted by Fakhri there. Charles currently in the lead at 6 points to 1. It's important here. We are looking at about 9 minutes remaining. Response. Playing the yellow, leaving the cue ball far end of the table. In the match right now, Charles has also scored the highest break of 61. So in both regards, if scores were tied 1-1 or 0-0 or irrespective of what it is, go down to the highest break. As it stands right now, the victor would be Charles Jong because he has the highest break. Fakhri on 7 now. Just a quick issue with the scoreboard there, but it has been fixed. Score currently 7-0 for Fakhri, so Charles will be biting at the bit to get to the table. This is now a great opportunity for him. It's not an easy shot, but opportunity nonetheless. But Charles will obviously now weigh up if he will have position on one of the colours after putting the red. That'll be the determining factor. Should see him get position onto the blue as well as the pink, but needs to make the shot. So didn't really get any great position, so tough unless he just wanted to get the red away from the pocket, which I doubt. I believe he did go for that. You can see there, absolutely great venue, this, the signature room. The night in Durban has been an absolutely exhilarating match, and this is the perfect conclusion to this final. It is the final frame, but we have about 6 minutes remaining. Confirmation there, we can see time remaining at 5 minutes and 38.7. So not a lot of time left here. Charles will definitely want to get to the table as quickly as possible. Let's see Fakhri needing to get his extension for his cue. Makes the red, very nice shots. He has a shot in the pink as well. Question again, and it's not a bad strategy. You're going to leave Charles in a tough position by attempting a snooker or just playing a colour at the bulk end, or is he going to take the risk and go for the pink? Asking the referee just to clean by the black. So he looks like he is going to attempt this black. Reason being is if he's 15 points ahead, it's a lot better than being 8 points ahead. Black missed. 4 minutes remaining. This is enough. The red is open, the black is open, so he needs to make sure Charles, he gets onto both of these and he pots them, because that'll take the score to 8-8. Just needs one more red and he'll be in the lead. So big shot this, makes it. Needs to get onto the black and is. So this black is potable, so he needs to make sure that he gets nicely onto his next red. There's a couple of options available here for him. So getting to that stage of the match. Just saw there, just over 4 minutes left a couple of seconds ago. So this is an option here for Charles. He can take this once again after coming from behind. Took the lead in the very first frame. Nicely playing that black with a lot of confidence. He's gotten himself positioned onto this red to the left of the pink. Left himself in the pink here as well. So the score goes up to 9. Pink is valued at 6, so it'll take him to 15 points, leading by 7. Does make it. The red just above the black. Also goes to the same pocket that he played the pink in. Fakhri is not happy with the position that he's in now. There's absolutely nothing that he can do. His hands is tied. Not happy with the position that he's left himself on the black here. There's a big angle. The cube will also be moving, so he wanted to stay there right amongst the reds, so chances are he will be giving the table back if he doesn't make this black. You can see he's not happy. 1 minute and 45 seconds. Eight-point lead. But 8 points is only 1 red and a black, and it's tied up again. Opts to go for a safety. Doesn't want to leave Fakhri with a shot. Can any of those 2 reds on either side of the cluster go to the middle? He's decided to tie up the black. Again, clever play being played here by Charles. Oof. So close, but stayed out. Is he leaving it on? The red is definitely potable.
One minute.
One minute remaining. So this could seal the deal for Charles here. Again, as we said, start of the match he was in the lead by 1 frame. Fakhri then came back, and Charles been trailing since then. Was able to make a 4-4 in the previous frame from 4-3 to 4-4. And is now in the lead in terms of points. So if time's called, Charles is the winner. That should seal it for Charles.
Three, two, one. Done.
And that is it.
Well, why does this feel like danger? Why does this happen?